Hey everyone, welcome back to another project in React Native. So in this project, we'll be building a full stack AI-powered Nutri Scanner app in React Native using the MongoDB as backend. So if you find this interesting, please hit the like button and do subscribe for more such content. So let's get started. So let's initially understand what we're going to build, and let's also look into the demo part of the video. So here we're trying to build a simple kind of Nutri Scanner app that would allow the users to upload pictures, and we're going to scan based on the picture they've uploaded, and we're going to show some nutritional information regarding the picture. So we have two steps to implement this. That is, one, to use your own kind of model to analyze and scan the image, or you can use a pre-trained model. So in our case, you're going to use a pre-trained model because we do not have the time to train our own model to scan and analyze the image and further give the information. So here we're going to make use of the Clarify API, and then we're going to get all of the nutritional information and we're going to show it to the user. So let's get started with the initial home screen. So as you can see, we have a good and nice design being shown on the home screen, which is very simple and minimalistic. So we have basically the search bar, some counts over here for the calories, proteins, carbs, as well as the fats. These are your insights, and this is the calendar part, and these are the data for the last 3 days of scanning. Okay, so we had scanned on April 17th, and these were the calories that were consumed, and these are the carbs, and this is the fat related information. So yeah, once you press on the camera button, automatically you would be navigated to the next screen. So here you can also add another feature, that is your camera feature to scan your photo. So here I've just added in to scan the photo directly from your gallery, right? So once you press on this particular icon and you open up the image, automatically the image is going to be shown onto the screen and your scanning starts. So now let's say if the user uploads some different image, let's say that is not related to a food, they upload some, let's say, travel pictures or something like that. So we're going to show some kind of joke saying to the user, suggesting them that they need to upload a food image itself for scanning it and for providing your nutritional value or your nutritional information. So the model that you're using is not that kind of smart to to identify all the kinds of food. So we're going to make this the Clarify API as I initially explained. So you can actually check that out and you'll be able to get the API key. Suppose you want to use a much smarter model, you can try your Google Vision API, I guess. I think for that you need to pay some credits as you use that particular service. So in this project, we're going to use the Clarify API where there is already a pre-trained food model, and then we're going to use that. So we're also identifying something known as the confidence. We're going to show that to the user, suggesting that based on the confidence, the user can identify that this is the correct food item or not. So the confidence is going to be shown in percentage. So let's get started with this. I'm just going to just scan an image over here. So once I press on this, automatically your gallery is going to open up, and I've just added in 2 or 3 images that is for the food. Let's press on the first image, that is actually a burger, and once I press on it, automatically the image is going to be shown, and we're also going to show a kind of cool animation showing the user that the image is being scanned. So let's press on it. So there you go, the scanning is happening now, and once it's finished, it's going to show the nutritional content over here. So there you go, the scanning has been completed and it has identified the food items present in this. So as I said, this particular food model or your API, whatever you're using from the Clarify, is not that smart enough to identify all of the food items. It has identified lettuce, I think, which is correct, and it has given the confidence of, let's say, 61. That's close to 62. It might be right as well, right? So it is the correct one, to be honest, and we have all of the information regarding that: the calories, the proteins, the carbs, as well as your fats, your vitamins, as well as your minerals. So this is the basic implementation of scanning the image and then getting all of the nutritional content or the nutritional information for that particular image. So let's say you throw some different kind of image that is not related to a food. In that case, it is just going to throw as a joke, suggesting the user to upload a correct related food image. Let's give that a try. I'm going to say select another image, press on this. Now this time I'm going to show a waterfall image, let's say this one. So it should give us a joke over here saying that this is not a food related image. As you can see, I think you picked a picture of your cat, so let's find some food instead. Okay, so yeah, we're going to show something like this, suggesting the user to upload a food related image itself for the correct scanning. Let's press on select another image. So this is it about your scanning part. It's pretty simple. And once you come to your calendar part over here, we're going to show all of the scans that is done for a particular month. So in April, as you can see, we have done 6 scans. This week we have done 2 scans, that is today itself we have done 2 scans, and today also we have done 2 scans. Okay, and once you press on any kind of date over here, if at all we have done the scan, it is gonna show that particular details. As you can see, calories, proteins, carbs, as well as fats, we're able to see all of the details over here. Suppose you press on any kind of other date, and if at all the scan has not been done, it is just going to show information just like this, that is no data is available. And you can scroll through the months as well, and based on that particular month, the data is going to be shown at the top and even over here as well once you press on any kind of date. So is that's the basic implementation of this project, and over here as you can see we are going to show the last 3 days data. So is that's the basic implementation of this project. We're going to build this up in this particular video. It is simple and easier to build as well. So if you find this interesting, please do the like button and do subscribe for more such content. So let's get started with the project right away. So now the first step is to create a fresh new React Native project. So let's go do that. So I've just currently opened up my VS Code, and I've just opened up my build folder that is inside my terminal. I've just gone into my build folder. So here I'm just going to create my new project. So I'm just going to say npx at React Native community / CLI init. Let's press on enter. So it's asking how would you like to name the app. So here we need to provide in our project name. So in this case I'm just going to provide, let's say, Nutri Scan or Nutri Scanner. You can give any project name you want to. So I'm going to give Nutri Scan, and then I'm going to press on enter. So as you can see, it is currently downloading the template. So it's going to take in a couple of minutes to initialize a project for us, and then we should be able to see the correct project directory being initialized inside of our build folder. So let's give it a couple of minutes to initialize all of the required dependencies. So it's currently asking, do you want to install Cocoa Pods now? So by default the option would be set to no. So I'm just going to press on enter now. So yeah, as you can see, our project is created for us. So you're able to see the instructions for Android, you're able to see the instructions for iOS as well. So for Android users, you just need to go into this particular path, and then you need to run npx react native run Android. So for iOS users, that is in my case, we need to first of all head over to the iOS directory, then we need to install the Cocoa Pods. So for that we need to do bundle install and then bundle exec pod install. So once these two steps are completed, then we can run npx react native run iOS. So let's follow these steps. So let's first of all head over to our directory, that is the Nutri Scan. So that's going to be inside of my build folder. So I'm going to say file, open folder. I'm going to go into my build and then the first app over here. So as you can see, this is the initial file structure that React Native gives us once when we initialize a fresh new React Native project. Yeah, so now let's follow the initial steps for iOS, and then let's try to run our application. So I'm gonna go to terminal and then new terminal over here. So here I'm gonna go into my iOS directory. Here I'm just gonna say bundle install. Let's press on enter. So as you can see, it's installing all of the required dependencies. So let's wait for some time. Yeah, so this was completed. So now let's execute bundle exec pod install, then enter. All right, so let's wait for a couple of minutes to to execute this step. Alright, so this step is completed. So we also have a message that the pod install is currently deprecated in React Native because they are moving away from Cocoa Pods towards an alternative solution to build the project. So suppose we are using an Expo project, we need to run npx expo run iOS, and if you are using the community CLI, that is in our case we need to run yarn iOS. So let's implement that. So let's come back to our main project, and then I'm going to say npx react native run iOS. Let's press on enter. So yeah, as you can see, it has found the Xcode workspace, that is nutriscan.xcode co workspace. So it's currently building our application on our 16 Pro. So let's give it a couple of minutes. So it's going to take about 5 minutes to install the application onto the system, and once it you know installs the application onto the iPhone, it's going to just open it up, and whatever is there currently inside of your safe area view or inside of your return block, that is going to be shown. That is all of this design, right? So since we're using TypeScript over here, we have some issues that is related to your tsconfig.json. So let's look into that. So it says option resolve JSON module cannot be specified without node module resolution strategy. So let's look into this. So this is basically some kind of TypeScript configuration issue in our React Native project. So this essentially means that it extends and this particular value. So this is basically trying to extend the default TypeScript configuration provided by React Native. So this default configuration includes the resolve JSON module option, which allows TypeScript to import JSON files as modules. So now let's try to set to node. That is what they're suggesting. So we just need to explicitly set the module resolution option to node in our tsconfig file. Since we are extending the React Native TypeScript config, we can override the specific options by adding them to our tsconfig.json file. So here I'm just going to add a comma, and then I'm going to use my compiler options. Here I'm going to say module resolution, let's add it to be node. So as you can see, automatically that error was gone. So now let's wait for the app to build. So it's going to take in a couple of minutes, as I said. So once the app builds, we're going to look into the output part. Basically, it's going to contain all of the design that is by default given by React Native. That is whatever is there inside of your return block. Let's wait for some time. So as you can see, we were able to finally load the app onto the simulator or onto the iPhone 16 Pro. So basically, as I said, whatever is there inside the return block, the same thing is being shown onto the simulator. So now the next step is let's initialize the vector icons so that we could use them inside of our project. So let's head over to Chrome over here, and I'm going to search for React Native vector icons. I'm going to go to the first one, or we can choose the GitHub version. So I'm just going to search for GitHub. So here let's try to install this one, that is add React Native vector icons common. So let's come down to a new terminal, and I'm just going to say yarn add React Native vector icons / common. So once this completes, we're going to install for specific families of icons that we're going to use in the application. So let's wait for this step to complete. Alright, so this is done. So now I'm just going to enter this one. So I'm going to say yarn add React Native vector icons / and design. Similarly, for all other families, I'm just going to do the same thing. Let's press on enter. So it's currently installing all of them. So let's wait for that step to complete. So you can actually refer to the React Native documentation for this. So the next step is we need to go into the info.plist, and then we need to include all of the icons, and we need to run the pod install. So since it is deprecated, that is this step, I'm not sure we can we can run this, or we can directly try to reload the app. So let's include all of the list of icons that we want inside of the info.plist. So let's head back over here. Yeah, so this step is complete. So I'm just going to go into my iOS and then Nutri Scan as well as the info.plist, and then we're going to paste it over here. Let's try to save the file. So now let's try to reload the app, and let's try if at all we are able to get any kind of icon onto the screen, because we have not executed pod install since it is deprecated. I'm just going to initialize some random icon over here, and let's see if at all we are able to see it onto the screen. So let me import icon over here. The name is going to be arrow back, and this is the size and this is the color. Let's also import the icon from at the top of the screen, that is from iron icons. Let's try to save the file. Now let's try to rebuild. So I'm just going to cut the terminal once, and let's just do yarn iOS as it was previously suggested. So enter. So it should try to rebuild the application. So hopefully if everything is done correctly, we should be able to see the icon being shown. So yeah, let's wait for a couple of minutes for this to complete. Alright, so we do have an error that is it says environment violation, vector icons could not be found. So verify that a module by this name is registered in the native binary. So let's try to do a pod install. Let's see what exactly happens inside of our iOS. Okay, so it's actually installing it. Not sure why it was deprecated. Yeah, it is again giving that notice. Yeah, so let's do one thing. Let's try to reload once and let's try to press on the I button, or let's try to press on the app itself. Okay, I think we need to rebuild the app. Let's clear off the application and then cut the server. And I'm going to say yarn iOS. Yeah, so now let's wait for it to build the application. So yeah, it's currently installing. So there you go, it's finally working. But yeah, we had to do the pod install for it to work, and we're able to see the arrow back icon over here, which is completely fine. So now the next step is let's initialize the navigation part. So I'm just going to create a few folders. So I'm just going to say app.tsx, new folder, navigation, and another folder for your screens and components if any. So inside navigation, I'm going to create my app navigator.tsx. I'm going to say app navigator.tsx. So initially, let's initialize all of the dependencies for React navigation. So I'm going to search for React navigation, the first link. Let's press on read docs and then let's start installing it. Initially, we need to install this one. Copy that. I'm going to use yarn over here. So let's install that. And apart from that, we need to install the dependencies. If at all we are using a React Native project, we need to install this. If at all you're using Expo, you need to copy this code. So since we're using React Native, let's initialize this for the safe area context as well as React Native screens. Yeah, so this step is complete. Let's initialize that. Yeah, so once that is done, let's move on to hello React navigation, and over here we need to install the navigation / native stack. And finally we need access to your bottom tab. So I'm just going to search for React Native bottom tabs, the first link over here. Let's initialize that. Okay, all right, so once this is done, let's start writing the code inside of your app navigator.tsx. Initially I'm going to say rnfes. Alright, so to get all of the shorthand code snippets, you need to have installed ES7 inside of your systems, so that you can find it inside of your extensions tab itself. So you can go over here and you can search for ES7. Yeah, there is this one, that is ES7 React Redux or React Native snippets. Okay, so that would help you give the shorthand code snippets just like this. So here initially at the top, let's initialize the tab navigator. So I'm going to say const tab is going to be equals to create bottom tab navigator. I think probably we need to initialize the pod install once again. I'm going to say pod install, enter. Alright, so it's installing two things, that is React Native screens as well as the safe area context. And let's import this create bottom tab navigator at the top over here. Once that is done, the next step is for the stack. I'm going to say const stack is going to be equals to create native stack navigator. Not sure why we're not able to get the imports. Let's try to reload this. So let's first of all check if everything has been installed correctly. Yeah, so we do have all of the required things for implementing this. So yeah, let's try to import manually itself. So I'm going to say import create native stack navigator from at React Native, React navigation / native stack. All right. Yeah. So now the next step is we need to define the type for the tab bar icon props. Let's do that now itself. So I'm going to say interface tab bar icon props. I'm going to say focused. That's going to be a value that's going to be Boolean. Now let's define our bottom tab. So initially we have 4 bottom tabs, but we're only going to work with the first one. So I'm going to say function bottom tabs over here. I'm going to say return tab dot navigator. So it's going to be a self-enclosing tag. So this in turn is going to have a bunch of screen options. Let's pass in the screen options over here. So this in turn is going to take in a function. Okay, I think I wrote that in a wrong way. Alright, so the first one is going to be tab bar show label. So this is to hide the tab labels. I'm going to pass it as false. So tab bar show label is going to be false. So furthermore, we're going to have the tab bar style. So I'm going to say tab bar style. This in turn is going to have a specific height of, let's say 80 or 90. Then we're going to have the BG color. So I'm going to say background color is going to be equals to this one, that is 1C 2526. Furthermore, I'm going to provide it some border top width. I'm going to say border top width of 0. Yeah, so this is your tab bar style. Furthermore, apart from that, this is for the top, this is for the initial tab.navigator. Now we're going to design it for the tab.screens. So it's not going to be in a self-enclosing view. So within this, we're going to have your tab.screen. So yes, let's initialize the name. Name is going to be home. Let's also, first of all, create the required screens that we want. So I'm going to say home screen .js rnfes, save the file. Furthermore, we're going to have the diet plan screen .js, again rnfes, to get the Sujan code snippet, save. Then we have the next screen that is going to be your calendar screen. I think this comes in the later part of the video, so let's let's initialize that later. I'm going to say profile screen .js rnfes. So furthermore, your scan screen .js, my bad, I had to initialize tsx. Let's rename it correctly. So it's going to be tsx. Same thing for this as well. And for this as well. Enter. Yeah, so apart from that, we're going to have the next one, that's going to be your Nutri bytes screen. .js, tsx, my bad. So rnfes, save, rnfes, and then save. Alright, so these are the required screens as of now. So let's come back to your app navigator.tsx. Here the name is given. Let's continue writing it. We need to pass in the component for this. This is going to be your home screen. So I'm going to say home screen, import from the screens folder. This in turn is going to have options. Initially header shown is going to be false for this. So furthermore, I'm going to say tab bar icon. It's going to have a focused value, and we need to pass in the type for this. We've already defined it. That is going to be tab bar icon props. So here I'm going to say tab bar icon props. So depending upon whether it is focused or not, we're going to show the icon. So if it is focused, we're going to show your iron icons. I'm going to say iron icons. So let's just paste it over here. The same thing over here as well, but with a different color. So name is going to be home outline, size 30. You can decrease that to let's say 25. It's also 25, and color is going to be white. I mean, for this is going to be white. For this we're going to change it to be 9898 and then 98. And let's try to import the iron icons. So let's go onto the top and then paste it over here. So let's try to format once, save the file. Yeah, so we have written it for the first tab. Let's just initialize the same thing for the second and then third tabs. So copy this down a couple of times. Let's minimize this. So the second one, that is this one, the name is going to be diet plan. Let's make that change. I'm going to say diet plan. This is going to be your diet plan screen. Import that. This is going to remain as is, but we're going to change the icon. It's going to be calendar outline. This also is going to change. It's going to be calendar outline itself. So calendar outline. Yeah, the color is going to remain as is. So now for the third part, we're going to have your Nutri Bytes screen. Let's initialize that. I'm going to say Nutri Bytes. Home screen, it's going to be Nutri Bytes. So instead of home screen, we're going to pass in your Nutri Byte screen, import that from the screens folder. Change the icon for this. It's going to be fast food outline, and the icon family is going to remain the same thing for everything. That is for all of the screens. So fast food outline. So same thing goes over here, fast food outline. We have the final screen, that's going to be your profile tab now on the screen. So copy that down one more time, and we're going to paste it over here. So this is going to say profile. The component is going to be profile screen. Let's make the change for this. Is going to be person circle outline icon. So I'm going to say person circle outline. The same thing goes over here, person circle outline. Format once, save the file. So now bottom tabs is done. Let's initialize your main stack over here. So below this, I'm just going to say function main stack, and we're just going to say return your stack dot navigator. Within this, we're going to just initialize the first screen. For now, I'm going to say stack.screen. Here we're going to have a name that is going to be main. Component is just going to be the bottom tabs that we just defined, and here also pass in the options, that is header shown of false. So I'm going to say header shown false. Format once. So now initially let's show the main stack itself, right? So here let's write in correctly, that is for your app navigator. So I'm just going to say const app navigator is going to be equals to your react dot your functional component equals to a normal arrow function. Let's format once, save. Yeah, so now instead of the return block, we're just going to return your navigation container. So I'm going to say navigation container. Within this, just show the main stack for now. Let's try to save the file. So this is your complete code for your app navigator.tsx. All right. So now let's try to come back over here and let's try to show it inside of the app.tsx. So I'm going to remove everything that is inside of the return block, and here I'm just going to show my app navigator. Import that. You can actually add in fragments if at all you have. You can actually add in fragments if at all you have more things to show over here. So format once, save. Let's try to cut the terminal and then let's try to reload the application. So I'm just going to say yarn iOS, enter. Alright, so it has started building the application. So hopefully if you have done everything correctly, we should be able to see all of the tabs being shown. And let's look into the design later on. So yes, let's give it a couple of minutes to to load the app. So there you go, it's currently loading the application. So let's wait for it to load. Alright, so it says the navigator can contain only screen, can only contain screen, group or react or fragment as its direct children. Okay, so we do have an issue over here. Let's look into that. Alright, so it's finally working. So I've just separated the code and I've just included the app navigator over here separately and exported it over here, whereas the other code that was present within the component, I've just pushed it towards the top part just like this, and we're able to see all of the screens being shown. That is all of the tabs. That's your home screen, your calendar screen, your Nutri bytes, as well as your profile screen, right? So yes, that's it about this particular design, that is of your app navigator. So now the next step is we're going to start designing the initial part of your home screen, that is over here. As you saw in the demo part of the video, it contained few styles at the top part, and we also have a camera icon towards the bottom right part. Once you press on that, you will be navigated to the scan screen where you would upload a image. So let's get started with the design of your home screen. So initially at the top, I'm going to define the interface that is required over here. So I'm going to say interface nutrition data. So this in turn is going to have your calories, that is going to be in the form of a number. Furthermore, your protein, again a number, carbs, number, fat, even this is a number. So yeah, furthermore we're gonna initialize our root tab param list. So here I'm gonna say type root tab param list equals, let's initially pass on the screen, that's going to be home. It's initially going to be undefined. The next is for the diet plan, even this is going to be undefined. Furthermore, similarly, let's write it down for all of the other screens that we have. The next thing we have is the profile. Then we have your camera, and we have your calendar. Alright, so the next thing is we need to define our home screen props that we're going to pass it to this particular home screen. So let's say type home screen props is going to be equals to bottom tab screen props. This one, nope, not that one. Bottom tab screen props imported from React navigation bottom tabs. Here this in turn is going to take in your root a tab param list, and we're going to pass in the name for each screen, right? So here it's going to contain the name that's going to be home. Okay, as you can see, this part is done. So over here in the home screen, we need to initialize the type. So I'm going to say it's going to be a type of react dot functional component which in turn is going to take in your home screen props. And over here directly we're gonna get in the navigation. That's it. Let's try to save the file. Alright, so now let's start designing the initial part of the home screen. So you have some basic design which says your gallery, and towards the right we have invite and earn, and then the try now button, the try free button. So let's get started with the initial design. So over here I'm gonna initialize my safe area view. So I'm gonna say safe area view. Same thing over here. Let's try to import that, and for this I'm going to give the style. So I'm going to say style is going to be equals to styles dot your safe area. Below that I'm going to have the scroll view. So within the scroll view we're going to have the header part. So let's say header. So here I'm going to have a view. This view in turn is going to have a text which is kind of hard coded. You can say your own gallery. I'm going to say Sujan's gallery. Below that we're going to have another view. So I'm going to say view over here. This in turn is going to have a touchable opacity, and we're going to have a text which says invite and on. Save the file. So as you can see, we're able to see both of the text being shown onto the screen. And yeah, the next thing we have is your linear gradient. I think we need to install that, or we could just use a normal random picture itself. Not a picture, a normal pressable. So let's do that. So just below your touchable opacity we're gonna have a pressable which says a text. It's gonna have try for free, or just try free. Save. Now yeah, let's pass on the styles for each of them. So for the scroll view, let's pass on the content container style. So I'm going to say style is going to be equals to styles.container, and content container style is going to be equals to styles.scroll content. So we need to define each of them at the bottom part in the style sheet. Let's do that. First of all, I'm going to write down the style names for each of it. So for the view, that is for the header, I'm going to say styles.header, and for the text it's going to be styles.header title. Furthermore, for the view I'm going to pass on the buttons. That's the style name. It's going to be styles.buttons, or you can give it as header buttons. For the touchable opacity it's going to be your invite button. I'm going to say style is going to be equals to styles.invite button. Yeah, that's pretty much it. This is for the try free button. Let's write it for the final part. I'm going to say styles dot your final button. Now let's scroll down and then let's start initializing each of the styles. Okay, so starting off from the safe area, here I'm going to say safe area flex of 1, and then I'm going to give it a BG color of this one, that is 1C2526. So furthermore, apart from your safe area, we're going to have your container. I'm going to say container. It's going to have a flex of 1 again. Again, similarly, background color of this color code. Let's format once. Let's try to save the file. So there you go. Automatically, we're able to see that change being shown onto the screen. So it's looking good. So below that, let's pass on the scroll content. This is for your scroll view. I'm just going to give it a padding bottom because the bottom part sometimes doesn't show up clearly. So I'm going to say padding bottom of 100. Save. So yeah, apart from that, we're going to pass on the style for the header, that is this one. This contains your gallery text as well as the buttons. So here I'm going to say header. So give it a flex of row. I'm going to say flex direction of row, and then align items of center. as well as justify of space between, also a padding of 15. Save. So as you can see both of the text in correct positions. So furthermore, the next thing we're gonna style is your header title. It should be in a white color. So here I'm gonna say header title, initially color of white, and apart from that we're gonna give it a font size of, let's say, 24, and I'm gonna give it a font weight of bold. Save. As you can see, that's looking nice. So apart from that, we're gonna start styling out your header buttons. So I'm gonna say header buttons. So as you can see, header buttons is basically the outer view that contains two buttons. It should come in a horizontal fashion. So initially give it a flex of row. Save. Yeah, so that's looking good. Furthermore, the invite button, I'm just gonna say invite button over here. This in turn is going to have a background color of this color code, that is 333, and it's going to have some padding vertical of, let's say, 8, and a padding horizontal of 12, and a border radius, I'm going to say border radius of 20, and a margin right of 8. Save. So as you can see, that's looking good. So we also need to pass on the style for this, I guess. That is for the invite button. Yeah, the text which says invite and on. So I'm going to say button text for this. So style is going to be equals to styles dot button text. Let's scroll down and then let's start initializing the style for this. So it's just going to have a font size and a font weight, I mean a color, right? So I'm going to say button text, give it a color of white and font size 16. As you can see, that's looking good. So let's initialize the style for the final button over here. So here I'm going to say final button. So we could actually give it, let's say, bg of white, and yeah, let's give it a similar styling over here and some margin right as well. Let's see how exactly it's looking. Okay, so yeah, it is almost colliding with this part. So yeah, let's do one thing. Let's try to decrease the font size 13, and yeah, the same thing goes over here as well. Or let's pass on the same button text for the second text as well, that is try free. So here I'm going to say style is going to be equals to styles dot button text. Save. Yeah, so it should be okay. Let's pass on a different style for this because the color is changed over here. So let's say button. I'm just going to copy this down one more time. And pass on black over here. So as you can see, that's looking good. So yeah, this part is done. So now the next part of the design is basically your search bar. We could design that. That's gonna come just below your header part, that is over here. I'm just gonna say search bar over here. So all right, let's initialize a basic view. Within that, we're gonna have a text which says search, and below that we're gonna have a icon. So the name is gonna be search. The color, initially the size is gonna be 20. Color is gonna be gray color. Let's go on to the top and then let's just import the correct icon. That is just like this. Save. As you can see, we're able to see both of the text being shown onto the screen. Let's pass on the style for each of them. I'm going to say not class style is going to be equals to styles dot search container. So for the text, it's going to be styles dot search text. Let's define both of them at the bottom part over here in the styles part. So initially it's going to be for the search container. I'm going to say search container. It's gonna have initially a flex of row. I'm gonna say flex direction row, align items of center, and we're gonna have the next part, that is background color. That's gonna be 333. It's gonna have a margin horizontal of let's say 16, and it's gonna have a padding of 12, border radius of 10, and it's gonna have a justify of space between as well. Save. So as you can see, now our search bar is looking nice. So yeah, apart from that, we're gonna start styling out the search text, right? So here I'm gonna say search text. Initially pass in a color of gray and font size of 15. Save. So as you can see, that design is looking nice. So now let's jump on to the next part of the design. That's gonna be for your today's counts. Okay, so yeah, by default it's gonna be hard coded for now. So let's initialize the design for that. That's gonna come right below this. Initialize a view. Within this we're gonna have a text which says today's count, and let's pass on the view for this. I'm gonna initialize a view. Within this view we're gonna have a bunch of views, which is gonna have a text which says calories, and below that calories in grams. I'm gonna say text, let's say 10 grams, something like this. So I'm gonna initialize this view a couple of times for the remaining designs. So this in turn is gonna say protein, and this one is gonna say carbs. Below that we're gonna have fat. Save the file. So as you can see, all the designs are being shown onto the screen. Let's pass on the style for each of them. So it's going to be equals to your styles dot section, and for this let's pass on the style. This is going to be equals to your styles dot section title. For this view, let's pass on the style. I'm going to say style is going to be equals to styles dot count container, or you can say counts container. So for the inner view, it's going to be the count box that you're going to style. So I'm going to say style is going to be equals to styles dot your count box. I'm going to say count box, and for the text I'm going to say style is going to be equals to your styles dot your count label. For this it's going to be count value. So I'm going to say style is going to be equals to styles dot count value. So let's define the same thing for each of the other remaining designs, right? So let's copy that correctly and let's paste it over here as well as over here. And finally for the count box as well. Save the file. So now let's start styling out each of them at the bottom part in your style sheet, starting off from your section. So here let's pass on the style to the section. So alright, so this in turn is gonna have initially some margin vertical of let's say 16, and some padding horizontal as well of 16. Save. As you can see, it is correctly aligned with the top design, which is looking nice. Below that we're going to start styling out the section title. So here I'm going to give it a color of white. So I'm going to say color is going to be white. Furthermore, font size of let's say 17 or 18. Let's pass on 17, and we're going to have a font weight of bold, margin bottom of 8. Save. As you can see, that design is looking nice. So apart from section title, we're gonna style out your count container or the counts container. So initially for this, give it a flex of row. So flex direction row, and then your justify content of center. Not center, it's going to be space between. So as you can see, each of them is spaced out and it's looking nice. So now let's start styling out your count box, that is the inner view. So here give it a background color of 333, and let's initialize a padding of 16 and border radius of 10. Save. As you can see, that is looking cool. So below the border radius, we're going to give it a flex of 1. So each of the container takes up equal space within that particular view. So initialize a margin horizontal of 4, and then furthermore align items of center. Save. As you can see, just like that, our design is looking nice. So below your count box, we're going to initialize the count label. That is the next part. So I'm going to say count label. So for this, I'm going to give it a color of gray. So color gray. Apart from that, we're going to give it a font size of 14. Okay, so as you can see, that's looking nice. Below the count label, we have the count value. This is going to be in white color. So I'm going to say color is going to be white. Furthermore, we're going to have a font size that's going to be 15 or 16. So yeah, apart from that, a slight margin top value, because it's almost touching the top part of the text. So margin top of 5. So as you can see, just like that, our design is looking really clean. So yeah, below that, that is your today's counts. We're gonna have the insights part. So let's initialize the design for that. That's gonna come right below this. So here I'm gonna say initialize a view. This view in turn is gonna have another view, which in turn is going to have a text which says insights. Save. As you can see, that text is being shown on the screen in a black color. Below that, we're going to have the icon. It's going to be from the same family itself. So there's going to be chevron right. So I'm going to say chevron right. Save. Okay, so for some reason it's not showing the icon. Let's comment that out for now. Okay, so now let's pass on the style for this as well. This also is going to have the same, that is styles.section, to space it out. As you can see, that's looking good. So now for this, we're going to have the style. I'm going to say style is going to be equals to your styles dot insights container. And for this, let's pass on the style. That's going to be section title itself. Save. As you can see, that's looking nice. So yeah, below this particular view, we're going to have the next part of the view. As we saw in the demo, one is for the map, one is for the calendar part, and the next one is for your nutrients. So let's initially design it for the map part. So this in turn is going to have another view, which in turn is going to have a text which says map, and below this we're going to have a self enclosing view with a style which is going to be styles dot placeholder. So for the outermost view, it's going to have your insights container itself. Okay, so I think I made a mistake over here. This should be insights header. First, let's change that. Yeah, so for the inner view, it's going to have inside box. That's the style. And this is going to be for your inside text. Now let's scroll down and then let's start, designing the styles at the bottom part over here. Let's start off with your insight header. So I'm going to say insight header, initially a flex of row, and we're going to say justify kind of space between and then align in terms of center. Save the file. So yeah, once we have that icon working, we should be able to see the icon go towards the rightmost part. So yeah, apart from your insight header, we're going to have the insights container. So I'm going to say insights container. So for this, we're going to have a flex of row and then a justify content of space between. All right. Yeah, so furthermore, we're going to have the next part, that is for your inside box. So for this, we're going to have a color of white, and furthermore, we're going to have font size of 14, and we're going to have a font weight, or we're going to have margin bottom. I'm going to say margin bottom of 8. Okay, let's just see what exactly is there an inside box. Okay, we have the map as well as the placeholder. So yeah, apart from your inside box, the next thing we're going to start styling out is your inside text. Yeah, so for this, it's going to have a background color, and we're going to have your, I mean, not for this, it's going to have a color actually, not background color. So color of white, and it's going to have a font size of 14 and then a margin bottom as well. Save. All right, so for the inside box, I think I missed out a few lines. It's going to have a background color, that is 333, and furthermore it's going to have padding of 14 or 16, and we're going to have some border radius of, let's say 10. Give it a flex of 1, and it's going to have margin horizontal of 4 and align items of center. Save. Okay, so as you can see, that's looking good. So for the placeholder, let's define the style. I think those two are the remaining ones for the placeholder as well as the insights header. So let's write it as insights header. So next is for your placeholder. I'm going to say placeholder. This in turn is going to have, let's say, a specific width of 80, and we're going to have a height of 80 as well. Apart from that, background color of this color code, that is 444, and we're going to have some border radius of 10. Save. As you can see, that's looking nice. So once we have the remaining design showing up, it should automatically structure itself into a good looking design. So the next part we're going to show is your calendar part, that is just going to be below your map, that is over here. Initialize a pressable. So we need to install moment for this, so I'm just going to say yarn add moment. Okay, so below the pressable, we're going to have your text which says calendar. Save. So yes, the next part below the text is going to have a view. So here, first of all, we're going to define. So here, as you saw in the demo video, it's going to contain the last 7 days of a particular month. So let's go on to the top and then let's initialize the last 7 days. So here I'm just going to say const last 7 days is going to be equals to get last 7 days. So let's define this function over here. I'm going to say const get last 7 days is going to be equals to a normal arrow function. Okay, so here let's initialize the days. I'm going to say const days is going to be equals to an empty array initially. Let's initialize today. It's going to be equals to moment. Let's import moment from moment. Next, let's initialize your end of month. I'm going to say const end of month is going to be equals to today dot, I'm just going to say clone dot end of your month. Similarly, let's initialize it for the start of month. I'm going to say start of month is going to be equals to today dot clone dot your start of month. So after that, I'm going to make this as the while loop. I'm going to say while your current, we need to initialize that as well. I'm going to say let current is going to be equals to today dot clone dot subtract. We're going to subtract basically 6 with respect to your days. Here I'm going to say while your current dot is same or after your start of month and your days dot length is greater than 7. So in this case, we're just going to push it into the days. I'm going to say days dot push of your current dot clone. I'm just going to say current dot add of 1 comma day to get the next day. So that's it. And here I'm just going to say return your days. Save the file. So this should essentially give you all of the 7 days for a particular month. Let's scroll down and then let's start designing this. So here I'm going to say style is going to be equals to your styles dot your inside text, not inside text, inside box itself. And here I'm just going to say let's map over it. So last 7 days dot map for every day as well as your index. First of all, let's check if it is today or not. I'm going to say const today. Const is today is going to be equals to day dot is same of your moment. This would give the current day with respect to the day. Okay, let's write this down again. So let's come back to the previous state. Okay, so I think we do have another error. Yeah, I think because of the arrow that is added extra. So here within the text, we're just going to show the day dot your date. Let's try to save the file. Okay, so for some reason we're not able to see anything onto the screen. Let's try to log this first. I'm going to say console.log dates as well as your last 7 days. Save the file. Or let's check what exactly is the issue in the function that is get last 7 days. Initially we are getting the days, that is we are initializing it to an empty array. Then today is going to be equals to moment and end of month and as well as start of month. So we are trying to clone that and pass in the start of as well as the end of. Okay, my bad. This should be less than 7, not greater than 7. So as you can see, now we do have all of the required dates being shown. That is for this particular current month for the last 7 days, right? So yeah, that's good. So now let's come back over here. Let's pass on the key to this. That's going to be equals to index as well as the style. That's going to be equals to your styles dot your calendar day. This is going to be in the form of an array. and if at all is today is true, and it's going to be styles dot calendar day highlighted. Alright, so for the pressable, I'm going to say style is going to be equals to your styles dot your inside box. Safe. Okay, so yeah, that's looking nice. So for the text, it's going to be inside text itself. So style is going to be equals to styles dot inside text. As you can see, that's looking nice. So for the inside box, I mean, this is going to be for the calendar. I made a mistake, so this is going to be styles dot calendar. So let's go down and then start defining all of the required styles over here. Initially for the calendar. So here I'm going to say calendar is going to be equals to initially flex of row and then align items of center, or we could remove this, we could directly give flex wrap of wrap, and I'm going to say justify content of center. Safe. As you can see, that's looking nice. So yeah, apart from your calendar, we're going to have the calendar day. So here I'm going to give it a color of white, font size of let's say 14, margin of 4, then apart from that we're going to have the next one that is going to be padding of 4 as well. So as you can see, our design is looking really good. So yeah, apart from your calendar day, we're going to have the next one that is calendar day highlighted. So for this, we're going to have, color of white, and we're going to have font size of 14, margin of 4, as well as, some other different styles as well. Let's just copy that down initially. Apart from padding of 4, apart from margin of 4, we're going to have a background color of this color code that is FF, 6F, and then 6.1. Next, we're going to have some border radius to it of let's say 8. Then we're going to have border width as well as border color. I'm going to say border width of 2, border color of this color code that is FF, EB, and then 38. As you can see, since today is 16th of April, we are able to see that being highlighted, that is in this particular fashion. So yeah, that part is done. So now let's look into the next step, that is going to be for the next design that's going to come right below your pressable. That is over here. Let's initialize a view. This in turn is going to have a text which says nutrients. Below this, we're going to have another text which says, average calorie. So I'm going to say average calorie intake last week. Let's pass on the style for this. It's going to be equals to your styles dot inside box again. So now as you can see, since we have 3 containers, everything is correctly aligned because we've given a flex of 1. So for the text, let's pass the style. It's going to be again styles dot inside text. Okay, so as you can see, that's looking nice. So for this, it's going to have the next part, styles dot nutrient text. So let's scroll down and then let's finish styling this part, that is for the nutrient text. Let's format once initially. Here I'm going to say nutrient text, color of white, and we're gonna have a font size of 16 or 14, text align of center. As you can see, that is looking good. So yeah, this is your initial design for your calendar map as well as the insights part. So now the next step is we're gonna have, so once everything is implemented, that is the scanning part and all of that, we're gonna show the last 3 days calculations over here once that is done. So since that is not yet done, we're gonna have your icon being shown, that is for navigating to the scan screen. Okay, so that's gonna happen right below this. That is over here. I'm going to say touchable opacity, initialize your icon. So the name is going to be camera outline, size is going to be 24, color is going to be this color code, that is white. Let's pass on the style. Style is going to be equals to styles dot fab. Let's scroll down and then let's initialize the design for this. I'm going to say fab. So here I'm going to pass in, let's say, a position of absolute, for the more bottom of 80, and we're going to have right of 16, background color of this color code, that is 007AFF, width of let's say 56 and height of 56 as well, and then border radius of 26, justify of center as well as align items of center. Save. So there you go, that's looking nice. But yeah, it is not showing up at the correct position, so probably let's give it of 100, or let's decrease it to be 50. Yeah, I think 50 looks better. Yeah, so once the other remaining designs add up, we are going to change this value, right? So now, for now, it's looking better. So yeah, this is your initial home screen. So yeah, we have completed designing the initial design of the home screen. So now the next step is we're going to initialize a backend part. So now the next step is we're going to go to MongoDB and then create a fresh new MongoDB project. So let's do that. So let's head over to Chrome over here, and then I'm going to search for MongoDB. Let's press on sign in. Let's log in with Google. So here initially let's create a API folder. I'm going to press on app.tsx, new folder, API, and I'm just going to say cd API and then npm init. It's going to ask us a bunch of questions. For description, I'm just going to say backend, and for the remaining things, just press on enter. So as you can see, you should be able to see the package.json being created over here. So now let's come back to MongoDB. So once you log in, it's going to take you to this screen, and the recently used project is going to be shown up over here. So let's create a new project. Let's scroll down. I'm going to say new project. You can give it any project name you want to. I'm going to say Nutri Scan. Let's press on next. As you can see, I myself am the project owner for this. Let's press on create project. So it's going to take in a couple of seconds to initialize our project. Now the next step is we need to initialize a cluster. Let's press on create a cluster and make sure you choose the free version, and apart from that, leave everything as default. Let's press on create a deployment. So yes, let's create a user. I'm going to create my username, that's my user, and the password also I'm going to pass in my name as well. Let's press on create database user, and I'm just going to say proceed to connect. So yeah, we're going to choose the third option or the fourth option, that's MongoDB for VS Code. So yeah, it's going to still so as you can see, still it's provisioning a cluster. Let's wait for that to happen. So before that, let's initialize all of the required things that we're going to use over here. So I'm going to say yarn add Axios cos express moment mongoose multer as well as nodemon. Enter. So yeah, as you can see, these are the required things that we're going to use. And here let's start writing down your start script. That is going to be nodemon index.js. Save. So yeah, that's looking fine. So now let's come back over here. I think this is still provisioning. Let's initialize our index.js file where all of the backend code is going to go into. I'm going to say index.js. Let's import the required things. I'm going to say const express is going to be equals to require of express, const multer is going to be equals to require of multer. Furthermore, const axios is going to be equals to require axios. Const mongoose is going to be equals to require of mongoose. Then let's initialize the app. I'm going to say const app is going to be equals to your express. Let's also initialize the course. I'm going to say const course is going to be equals to require of course. Let's finally initialize your moment as well. I'm going to say const moment is going to be equals to your require of moment. Alright, now let's initialize the MongoDB connection method. So before that, I'm just going to say app.use of course. Okay, save. Let's come back over here. So as you can see, this is our connection URL. Make sure you copy that down. Let's come back over here. Here, let's make use of the mongoose.connect method. This in turn is going to take in your URL. And make sure to enter your password that you have given while creating it, right? In my case, it was my own password. Once this is done, apply the then method. And here, I'm just going to give a console message. I'm going to say console.log MongoDB connected. If at all there is any error while implementing this, then we're just going to catch that. I'm going to say catch of error. Here I'm just going to say console.log error connecting to MongoDB with that particular error message. So yeah, that's pretty much it. This is the initial part of the MongoDB setup. Let's actually try if at all we have done everything correctly. Let's run the backend folder. I'm just going to say yarn start. If at all we have done everything correctly, we should be able to see MongoDB connected. So let's also initialize the listen method as well. I forgot that part. So here I'm going to say app.listen. It's gonna be on, let's say, 3000, and I'm just gonna say console.log server running on port 3000. Yeah, so apart from app.use of course, we're gonna add two more things, that is for express as well. app.use express.json. Let's try to save the file. Let's press on yarn start, enter. So as you can see, there you go, server running on port 3000 as well as MongoDB is connected. So yeah, we have successfully connected this particular front-end project to your backend MongoDB over here. So now the next step is, once you press on your camera icon, we would be navigated to the scan screen, and we would be allowed to choose an image from the gallery. And once the image is chosen, automatically the scanning is going to start, and it is going to show all of the different nutrients in that particular image, and it's going to be displayed at the bottom part of it. And we're also going to store that details in the backend as well. So let's implement that next. So initially, let's initialize the models that we want to initialize. That is basically your scan model. So now let me initialize a folder for the model. So if I would, check out my API folder, I'm going to press on API and then, new folder, and I'm going to create a folder for models. I'm going to create a new file that is going to be scan.js. So here let's start initializing the required details for this. So initially I'm going to, import Mongoose. I'm going to say const Mongoose is going to be equals to require of Mongoose. And let's initialize the schema. I'm going to say const scan schema is going to be equals to new Mongoose dot schema. Here let's initialize the date. Type is going to be of date, and this required is going to be true. Furthermore, default is going to be equals to date.now, that is at that particular point of time. So yeah, furthermore, apart from your date, the next thing we have is your food items. That is for that particular scan. That is whatever we are doing. So I'm going to say food items. It's going to be in the form of an array. So initially name, it's going to be in the form of a string. And we are also, tracking the confidence. That is, if at all it is a tomato and the confidence is up to 50%, then that means that food item might be a tomato or it might not be a tomato. So it will be a useful information for the user that we are showing the confidence, because the model that we are using is not that smart, right? So that's the reason we're going to track the confidence for each food item in the image. I'm going to say confidence, that is going to be a number. And furthermore, we're going to have the nutrients for each of the food items. So I'm going to say nutrients is going to contain your calories, that is going to be in the form of a number, and then your fats, that also number, then your carbohydrates, this is also going to be a number, and furthermore we're going to have proteins, it is going to be in the form of a number, and we're going to have vitamins, that is going to be in the form of array of string. So I'm just going to say array of string. Furthermore, minerals for that particular food item, it is going to be in the form of a array of string. That's it. Let's try to save the file, and over here I'm going to say module.exports is going to be equals to your mongoose.model. We're going to make use of scan, that's the name, and we need to pass in the schema, that is going to be scan schema. Let's save the file. So yeah, we have defined a model. So now the next step is, once if we press on this particular button, camera button, we should be navigated to the scan screen. So let's head back to our home screen and let's initialize a on press event on basically your camera, and let's see what exactly is the screen name given for this in the app navigator. So yeah, we only have one screen that is there. So let's initialize the second screen. That is going to be your scan screen. So here I'm going to say scan, change the component, it is going to be scan screen. We have already designed that. We have already initialized it. So just import that from the screens folder. Let's try to save the file. Let's come back to your home screen and let's initialize on press on your touchable opacity. So here I'm going to say on press, taken a function, and here I'm just going to say navigation.navigate to your camera, not camera, your scan. So I'm going to say navigation.navigate to your scan. I think we need to make the change and pass an undefined over here. Save. Yeah, so now let's try to press on the camera. As you can see, we are coming correctly to the scan screen, which is this one. So now let's get started with this particular design. So this initially is going to have bottom icon. If at all you press on that, your gallery is going to open up and you need to upload a food image. So let's say supposedly you upload a different image that is not related to food. Then in that case, we're just going to show some kind of joke saying that you need to upload a food image itself for scanning it correctly. So let's initialize a dependency that is React Native image picker. We're going to make use of that. So here I'm going to say yarn add React Native image picker, enter. So let's try to do a pod install. So as you can see, it is installing that correct dependency. And once that is done, I'm just going to reload the app and I'm going to cut the terminal and then restart it once again. So here I'm just going to say yarn iOS, enter. Now let's start continue designing your scan screen. So initially at the top, I'm going to initialize few states. So before that, let's initialize your react.functional component. So this is going to be a type of react.fc. Alright, so over here, let's initialize few states that are required. Initially your photo. I'm going to say const photo comma set photo is going to be equals to use state, and this in turn is going to have a type of string or null at the initial state. So yeah, let's try to import use state from React. So furthermore, the next one is for is scanning and set is scanning. So I'm going to say const is scanning comma set is scanning is going to be equals to use state initially false. So this is for to check if all it's scanning. We're going to show some some kind of animation to the user suggesting that currently the image is being scanned. So the next one is for your food items. So I'm going to say const food items comma set food items is going to be equals to use state. It's going to be a type of any. Okay, and initially it's going to be an empty array. So the next one is going to be an array of jokes. So I'm just going to get in that code over here. You can add in whatever jokes you want to add. So I'm just going to paste in the jokes. So as you can see, these are some of the jokes. So some of them are like not quite edible. Let's scan something tasty this time. Is that a shoe? I'm hungry for food, not fashion. Try again. So it is necessary for the user to upload a food image for the correct scanning, right? So now let's look into the design part initially, that is in the return block. So I'm going to initialize my safe area view. Let's import it at the top. Safe area view, copy that down, and then let's make use of that over here in the return block. Safe. Let's come back over here. As you can see, it's working correctly fine. Let's pass on the style for this. I'm going to say style is going to be equals to your styles.container. Let's define container over here. So yeah, furthermore, first of all, let's design the code for opening up the gallery part. So let's write it in a conditional way. So here I'm going to first of all check if at all my photo is valid. That means if at all we do have the value, then in that case we're going to show a scroll view over here. I'm going to say scroll view, import that from React Native. Else if at all the photo is not present in the initial state, then we're going to show a design to open the gallery for a particular user. So for that, initialize a view just like this. Within that, we're going to have a text which says select an image from your gallery to scan for food. And below this, we're going to have another view, which in turn is going to have your touchable opacity. Import that from React Native. This in turn is going to contain your icon. Okay, it got imported correctly, which is good. So yes, let's pass on the name. That is going to be your image outline icon or images outline icon Furthermore, size, let's keep it to be 30. Your color is going to be white color. All right, so now let's pass on the styling for each of them. So initially for this view, I'm going to pass in the style. This is going to be equals to your styles dot placeholder container, and let's pass on for the text. I'm going to say style is going to be equals to styles dot placeholder text. Let's initialize the style for this. It's going to be equals to your styles dot your bottom bar, and for the touchable opacity it's going to be your gallery button. I'm going to say style is going to be equals to styles dot gallery button, and finally for the icon it is going to remain as is. So let's start styling it from your placeholder container. So before that, for the container, that is for the safe area view, I'm going to give it a flex of 1 and then a BG of a different color code, that is 1C and then 2526. Save the file. As you can see, that's looking good. We do have the icon as well as the text being shown. So furthermore, let's style out your placeholder container. I'm going to say placeholder container, give it also a flex of 1, justify of center. Then we're going to have align items of center as well as a padding of 20. Save. As you can see, that's looking good. So below that, we're going to style the next one. That's going to be for your placeholder text. So I'm going to say placeholder text. So this one is going to have color of white, and we're going to have font size of 17, and it's going to have a text align of center and margin bottom of 20. So as you can see, that's looking good. So now the next part is we're going to start styling out your bottom bar. So let's start designing that. So here I'm going to say bottom bar. Initially it's going to have a position of absolute, and over here we're going to give it a bottom of 0 and then a left of 0 as well. Furthermore, right of 0, and it's going to have a height of, let's say, 100, and we're going to pass on some background color of this color code, and it's going to have a flex of row and then justify content of center as well as align items of center. So I'm going to say flex row align items of center as well as justify content of center. Save. As you can see, now that's looking good, and we're able to see the icon being shown at the bottommost part, which is looking nice as well. All right, so yes, we can actually give this a blue shade of color. Let's try that out. So here I'm just going to say blue shade of CSS. You can choose any random one. Let's say this one. Save. Yeah, so I think this is good for now. Let's keep this itself. So yeah, the next step is we're going to implement the backend part. That is, once you press on this image, first of all, let's initialize a function to open up the gallery, right? So here I'm going to go to the touchable opacity. Okay, I don't think we have styled out your gallery button. Let's style that. I forgot that part. Let's come down over here. Let's initialize gallery button. This in turn is going to have align items of center. Furthermore, it's going to have a background color. I'm going to say background color is going to be this color code, that is 007AFF. Save. Okay, I think let's keep this to be 333. Let's look how exactly it's looking. No, it's not looking that good. Okay, once we give the padding, let's look into that, right? So yeah, background color is this one, and border radius is going to be 50, padding of, let's say, 16. Now let's change this to be triple tree. Okay, I think now it's looking better. Okay, so yeah, this is done. So now let's initialize on press on your touchable opacity. such that if the user presses on this, we need to open up the gallery of the user. So I'm going to say open gallery. So let's define the function that is open gallery at the top over here. I'm going to say const open gallery is going to be equals to a normal arrow function, which is async. So initially let's initialize our result. I'm going to say const result is going to be equals to await launch image library. I'm not sure why I'm not getting the auto import of your, it's going to take in your media type, that is going to be your photo. So let's import it manually at the top over here. So import image library, import launch image library from React Native image picker and pass in the media type that's going to be photo. Here let's check the condition that if at all your result dot assets of 0th position dot URI is present, then that means we have selected the photo. Then just check out the URI. I'm going to say URI is going to be equals to results, not results, result dot your assets of 0 dot your URI. You can actually log your URI. I'm going to say console.log, or you can do that later. So furthermore, apart from that, I'm just going to say set your photo to be of your URI or null. Furthermore, I'm just going to say set is scanning to be of true. Okay, so apart from that, I'm just going to say await analyze image. So for now, we're just going to comment this out. Once we initialize the endpoint that is for the backend, we're going to make this function work. Let's try to save the file. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So now the next step is we're going to show the photo over here. So that is once your photo is being shown, we're going to design the scroll view part. So initially within the scroll view, we're going to have a outer view. This in turn is going to have another view, which in turn is going to show the image. I'm going to say image over here, import image from React Native, and pass on the source. I'm going to say source, which in turn is going to take in the URI that is going to be equals to your photo itself. Let's pass on the style, that's going to be equals to your styles dot your preview image. For the outer view, let's pass on the style. This in turn is going to say styles dot your preview container. For the just inner view, it's going to be your image wrapper. I'm going to say style is going to be equals to styles dot image wrapper. All right, so now let's design the style for the preview container, image wrapper, as well as the preview image. So initially for your preview container, let's go on to the bottom part. Here I'm going to say preview container. Let's initially pass on a flex of 1 for this, justify of center, as well as your plan items of center. So that's it for your preview container. Next one is for your image wrapper. You're going to have a specific width given for this. So for that reason, I'm going to pass on a width of, let's say, 80%, just like this. And furthermore, height of 100%. Then we're going to have a slide border radius of 10. So apart from your image wrapper, the next one is for your preview image. It's going to have a width and height of 100%. So width 100%, height as well 100%. Apart from that, we're going to have a slide border radius. I think border radius should be given to this, not to the previous one. And for the image wrapper, it's going to have a position of relative, as well as it's going to have a margin vertical of, let's say, 20. And instead of height 100%, let's provide it a height of 300, because we've given a height of 100% to the image over here. So here I'm going to make the change, that is 300. Yeah, so we have initially designed the required things. Now the next step is, let's head back to our index.js and then initialize the first endpoint for analyzing a particular food related image. Let's come back over here, index.js. So here we're going to make use of your clarify API. That is, there is a food model that this one produces, or this one has. We're going to make use of that, but this is not that smart enough to identify each and every food item in a particular image that correctly. So for that reason, as I said earlier, we're going to make use of the confidence number. So let's head over to your clarify API. Okay, so for some reason I'm not able to open this up. Yeah, so this is the one actually. You can actually check out this, and you would be able to get in your API key as well from here itself. You can actually try to log in. Okay, so for some reason I'm not able to open this up. So you can actually use the API key, and you can use the food model. You can actually search for models, and you can go into that particular model. You can actually try in that particular website itself by uploading your own food image, and you would be given API key in the API section, and you need to use that API key over here. And the next thing we'll be using to get all of the details from that particular food image is by making use of the USDA API key. Let's search for that. That is basically this one. Yeah, so from here you need to get in your API key. So you can check out get an API key over here. So here, once you log in, you should be able to sign up and then get your API key. So this would give you all of your results, that is from that particular food image, that is your nutrients, vitamins, minerals, etc. All of these details we're going to get from here. I think it's still loading. So let's initialize our first endpoint to get in all of these details. So I'm just going to paste in both of my API keys over here, or you can create a .env file and then you can paste it over there, and you can get it back in the index.js file. So for now I'm just going to paste in both of my API keys. That is, one is from clarify API and one is from the USDA API key. So let's say I'm just going to paste it over here. These are two of my API keys. So then now the next step is we're going to have a array of strings, that is for the food keywords, so that we can expand our list of search, because in that particular model only a limited amount of food items can be searched, I guess. So if at all you enter some different kind of food item that is not there, it will not give the correct results. So sometimes even if you enter a food item, it should it would give a error saying that this is not actually a food image. So for that reason, you can initialize an array of strings that are containing different kind of food items over here. Okay, so I've just pasted in my array of keywords, that is basically strings. So these are some of the food items, and even we're going to make use of this as well. So now let's initialize endpoint to analyze a particular food item. So here I'm going to say app.post. It's going to be / analyze food. I'm going to say upload.single. So we need to initialize the upload method over here at the top. Before that, I'm going to create a basic folder that is local to the project. I'm going to press on index.js, new folder, uploads, enter. Let's go on to the top over here. Let's initialize the multer for this. I'm going to say const upload is going to be equals to multer. This in turn is going to take in the destination, that is dest. It's going to be uploads. Okay. Yeah, so here we're going to say upload.single of your image. Here it's going to have a async method with your request and the response in the callback. Here let's initialize our try catch block, so initially catch of error, and let's initially write the code for the catch block. So I'm going to say console.log error, analyzing image, that particular error. And furthermore, I'm going to say if error.response is present, then in that case I'm going to say console.error error response data. It's going to be error.response.data. Next, console.error error response status. This is going to be error.response.status. Finally, console.error. This is going to be error response headers. It's going to be equals to error.response.your headers. And finally, we're just going to say result.status of 500.json with a message being failed to analyze image. That's it. So now inside of your try block, let's initialize your image path. So I'm going to say const image path is going to be equals to your file, request.file.path, and we need to initialize the image base 64 value as well. So I'm going to say const image base 64 is going to be equals to require of your fs file system dot. I'm going to make use of the read file async method. I'm going to say read file sync, pass in the image path to this, and we need to pass in the encoding value. So I'm going to say encoding is going to be base 64. Yeah, you can actually log both of the values. I'm going to say console.log image path as well as your image base 64 length. Okay, so console.log image base 64. This is going to be image base 64 dot your length. Okay, that's it. So now let's initialize your clarify API response. So this code would be directly obtained from this particular website. So once you log in, you should be able to find the model, and once you upload your own image, there are different sections like JavaScript, Python. You can check out the JavaScript. You would be able to get this correct code. So let's initialize your clarify response is going to be equals to await Axios dot post method, and this is going to be your URL. You can make note of that. This in turn is going to take in a bunch of options. So initially your user underscore app underscore ID. This in turn is going to take an object containing your user ID, that is going to be clarify, and it's going to take in your app ID, that's going to be main. Okay, and furthermore we need to provide in the inputs for this. I'm going to say inputs. It's going to have a data object, which in turn is going to take in your image. We need to pass in base 64. That's going to be image base 64. That's it. Furthermore, this is going to take in your headers as well. So yeah, after this we need to pass in the headers. Here I'm going to say headers. It's going to take in your authorization, that is going to be equals to key as well as your token. I'm going to say clarify underscore fat, and we need to pass in the content type. So here I'm going to say content type is going to be equals to application /JSON. You can actually log the response over here. I'm going to say console.log clarify response, that is going to be equals to json.stringify of your clarify response dot data, pass in null as well as 2 format once. So yes, apart from this, now the next step is you're going to initialize our concepts. I'm going to say concepts is going to be equals to 2, concepts is going to be equals to clarify response dot data dot, we have output data as well, so it's going to be outputs of 0 dot your data dot concepts. So here first of all we're going to access a condition or check a condition just to check that if at all this is a food or not. So I'm going to say const is food is going to be equals to concepts dot apply the sum method. So for every concept I'm going to access the concept name. I'm going to say concept name is going to be equals to concept dot name dot to lowercase, and the next one is we're going to say return food keywords. We're going to make use of the keywords that we used earlier, so that even if we show some different kind of image containing a different food items, if at all it has a match over here, we should be able to get this value as true. So I'm going to say food keywords dot sum. So for keyword, every keyword, if your concept name dot includes of keyword or your concept dot value should be greater than 0.3. Okay, let's format once. So now we're going to check if at all it is not a food, if at all it's not a food item, then I'm going to say console.log image is not a food item. Okay, and I'm just going to say return result dot json, and we're going to say is food is going to be false. Now if at all it's a food item, we're going to furthermore implement it. So here I'm going to say const food items is going to be equals to access the concepts dot your apply the filter method for each concept. I'm going to access again the concept name. I'm going to say const concept name is going to be equals to again the same thing, concept dot name dot to lowercase, and yeah, again I'm going to apply the same thing, that is this one, and here we're going to map over each concept and then get the details. I'm going to say dot map for each concept, getting the values, that is the name, that is going to be equals to concept dot name. The next one is going to be a confidence, that is going to be concept dot value. Alright, so this is your entire food items array. So let's actually check the condition, that is if at all your food items dot length is going to be equals to 0, then in that case I'm just going to say return result dot json of again is food is going to be false. Okay, that's it. So now we're going to make use of the other API key, that is USDA API key, to get all of the required nutrient details. Okay, so let's do that. So here I'm going to say const food details is going to be equals to await. I'm going to make use of promise.all method. So promise.all. Here I'm going to say food items dot map. It's going to be async method, so I'm going to say async food item. Here let's initially put in our try catch block. So try as well as catch of error. Here I'm going to say console.log error fetching USDA data for food item. Let's make use of backticks over here. I'm going to say dollar is going to be food item.name, and we're going to show in the error.message. And here I'm going to say return name is going to be food item.name, and confidence is going to be equals to food item.confidence, and your nutrients is going to be equals to null. So this is for your try block. This is for your catch block. In the try block, let's make use of the USDA response. I'm going to say const USDA response is going to be equals to await Axios.get. Let's pass in the URL over here. So this is the URL. You can make note of it once again. Let's format once. So once this is done, I'm going to initialize my food data. I'm going to say const food data is going to be equals to USDA response data or USDA response dot data dot foods of 0. And if at all there is no food data present, here I'm just going to say return the same details over here. Copy that down and then paste it over here. Okay, that is name is going to be equals to food item.name, confidence is going to be equals to food item.confidence, nutrients is going to be equals to null. I think spelling is wrong. Nutrients, the same thing over here as well. Save. And if at all we do have the nutrients, and that means if at all we do have the food data, we're going to structure that out and then we're going to send it to the front end part. So I'm just going to paste in the code for that. You can just copy that down. That is for all of your nutrients for a particular food item. Let's format once. So initially for the calories, we're going to say food data.food nutrients.find. For every item, if n.nutrient name is going to be equals to energy, then that is considered to be as calories. For fat, we're going to check if all the nutrient name is going to be equals to total lipid fat. Similarly, we have all of the details for the carbohydrates, protein, vitamins, as well as your minerals. Okay, so you can make note of this. This is for your nutrients part. So yes, once this is done, we're just going to send it to the front end part. So here I'm going to say return name is going to be equals to food item.name, and your confidence is going to be equals to food item.confidence, and finally your nutrients. So yep, that's it. So this is your initial endpoint to analyze the food image and then send all of the details to the front end part. Yeah, so this part is done. So now the final step is we need to store the scan data in the backend part, right? So yes, for that, once this is completed, that is all of these details. Yeah, just below the try block, we're going to implement that. That is over here. So I'm just going to say const scan is going to be equals to new scan. We need to import first of all the scan model. I think we've imported that over here just now. Yeah, this is the import. So I'm going to say const scan is going to be equals to new scan. pass in the date, that is going to be equals to your new date, and pass in the food items. I'm going to say food items is going to be equals to your food details. This is just coming from your this one. Okay, let's format once, and we just need to do await scan.save. All right, and furthermore you can log the details. I'm just going to say console.log food details with that particular food details. Furthermore, I'm just going to say result.json of is food is going to be equals to true, and your food items as well. Food items is going to be equals to your food details. Let's format once, save the file. So yes, this is your complete endpoint for to analyze the image. So now the next step is you're going to go over to your scan screen or the camera screen, and once the image is chosen, we need to start defining that analyze image function. And once that is done, if all we get the data correctly, we're going to show all of the data part. So yes, that's it about this particular endpoint. So now let's head back to your scan screen that is over here, and we're going to implement this particular function, that is analyze image. So now let's go ahead and then define the function that is analyze image, or before that, let's initialize the required things for the animation part. So once, as you saw in the demo video, once when we choose image, automatically that line should keep on going onto the image, showing the user that the image is currently being scanned. So for that, I'm going to say const scan animation is going to be equals to useref, import that from React, and this is going to be equals to new animated dot value of 0 dot current. All right, so here let's make use of a use effect. Here I'm going to say use effect, import that from React, and this is going to be dependent upon your photo as well as is scanning. So here within the use effect, I'm going to check if at all my photo is present and is scanning is true. Then in that case, I'm going to say animated dot loop. Here I'm going to say animated dot timing. It's going to take in your scan animation. So scan anim, and here we're going to pass in the to value. That's going to be 1. The duration is going to be 2000 over here. Easing is going to be easing dot linear, and I'm going to say use native driver is going to be equals to true. Make sure to import easing from React Native, and we also need to start the animation. So for that reason, here I'm going to say dot start. So as this part is done, so now let's define the function for the image. Not for the image, for analyzing the image, I'm going to say const analyze image is going to be equals to async function, which in turn is going to take in your image URL or image URI, that is going to be in the form of a string. So here initially I'm going to initialize my form data. I'm going to say const form data is going to be equals to new form data. So here I'm going to say form data dot append is going to be of type image, and here we're going to pass in the URI, that is going to be your image URI that's coming from the parameter. And furthermore, we're going to say type is going to be image /JPEG. Then we're going to say name, that is going to be food underscore image dot jpg. Now let's initialize the response over here. So I'm going to say const response is going to be equals to await fetch and this is going to be your URL, HTTP, or you can use localhost. It's going to be 3000/analyze food. This in turn is going to take in the method, let's say post, and body is going to be form data, and finally your headers, that is going to be content type. This is going to be multi-part / form data. Let's extract our data. So I'm going to say const data is going to be equals to await response.json, and you can actually log the data. I'm going to say console.log data as well as data. The next thing I'm going to say, if at all data.isFood, then we are going to set the food items to be of data.food items or an empty array. So yes, that's it. So once that is done, we can actually store the scanned data in the backend part as well. Okay, so else if at all the data is not a food, then in that case we're going to show your random joke. So for that we need to initialize the state, that is for the error message. So let's go on to the top, and then over here I'm going to say const error message comma set error message is going to be equals to use state. It's going to be either a string or null at the initial point. So let's come back over here, and I'm just going to write in the code for this, that is for the condition. So as you can see over here, there are a couple of errors for your fetch, that is it's currently being underlined. Probably we are missing some types from the DOM, so we need to add that particular value in the tsconfig.json. We need to make some changes over there. So let's head back over there and then add this piece of line so that all of these errors are going to go. So over here I'm just going to say lib and then pass in the value just like this. Save the file. Let's come back over here. So as you can see, that is gone. So yeah, we do still have that issue for your image URI. Let's look into that. So yeah, over here it says that argument of type URI string is not assignable to parameter of type string or blob. So let's make this change. Let's mark it as any for the entire thing, just like this. Okay, so let's format once, and then let's try to save. Okay, so yeah, this part is done. So this is your entire function, and I think catch is not initialized, or we have not set up the try catch block. So let's do that. So try, then catch of error, it's going to be equals to, we can just give a console.log error message, that particular error, and yeah, we're going to say finally as well. I'm going to say set is scanning to be of false. Let's copy all of this into your try block. Format. Yeah, I think that's it. Let's try to save the file. So now let's look into the animation part that is going to come right below your image. So here I'm going to say if is scanning is true, and I'm going to say animated.view. So this is going to be a self-enclosing design, and it's going to have a style that is basically an array of styles. Initially it's going to be styles.scanbar, and here the next one is we're going to also apply the transform as well. I'm going to say transform. It's going to be translate y because we want to move it in the vertical direction. I'm going to say scan translate y. So we need to define that value at the top. So let's come back over here. Let's initialize the image height that we have given. I'm going to say const image height is going to be equals to 300, and I'm going to say const scan translate y is going to be equals to scan animation dot, we're going to make it the interpolate method, pass in your input range, that's going to be 0 to 1, and we're going to pass in the output range as well, that's going to be 0 comma your image height, such that the bar moves from the within the image actually. So that's the meaning of this. So image height, yeah, that's it. Let's format once and let's try to design the scan bar. We need to pass in the style for the scan bar part. So let's go to the bottommost part here. I'm going to say scan bar. This in turn is going to have a position of absolute. Furthermore, we're going to give it a width of 100%. Then it's going to have a height of 2, that is the bar, and it's going to have a background color of white, opacity of 0.7, as well as a top value of 0. So now let's give this a try. I'm going to say choose this icon. So hopefully the image should open up. As you can see, I have already downloaded 2 food images. Let's say I choose this particular one. So currently I have not commented out this one. It is commented out the analyze image. So as of now the animation should work. Let's see if at all it works correctly fine or not. I'm going to press on this image. So there you go. As you can see, it's working absolutely fine. We are able to see that image, and as you can see, it is a cool animation that's showing onto the image, showing the user that it is currently getting scanned, right? So I think there is one issue. I think probably it should come to the center part of the screen, which is not coming as of now. So let's actually target probably some issue with the scroll view, I guess. Let's give some style to that. I'm going to say content container style. It's going to be equals to your styles dot your scroll content. So let's define the style for scroll content. We're going to give it a flex grow of 1. Let's say over here I'm going to say scroll content. This in turn is going to have flex grow of 1, and furthermore it's going to have a padding bottom of 2, not 2, it's going to have a padding bottom of 20. As you can see, just like that, it's looking really cool, and we're able to see that scanning image as well, and we're able to see that nice and cool scanning animation also that's being shown onto the image. Yeah, this is working absolutely fine. So now let's actually uncomment that. Let's try to reload the app and uncomment that analyze image, and let's hopefully check if at all we're able to get the correct details or not. Okay, so let's try to uncomment the function that is await analyze image, and this in turn is going to take in your URI as well. So here I'm going to say analyze image of URI or a empty string, and you can also try to log your food items. Okay, so once everything is working fine, we should be able to get the data that is food items, and after that we're going to start styling this out. So here I'm going to say console.log items as well as food items. Save the file. Let's give this a try. I'm going to press on the image, the icon. Let's choose this. So once it is chosen, automatically the scanning starts because we have uncommented the function, and if everything is working out correctly, we should be able to get the details. Let's press on this. So there you go. I think it stopped. Let's actually check the backend part if at all there is any kind of errors. Okay, so there is an error. It says concept.value is greater than 0.3 is not a map. So there you go. We do have some information coming that is from the image, or this is actually the concepts, I guess. Yeah, so this is actually the model food item recognition, and these are all of the details that are coming. So let's actually check what exactly is this error that is from this particular line. So I'm just gonna open the index file, and where we have the food keywords dot sum. So there is some issue related to that. So initially we're going to say food items is going to be equals to concepts dot filter. For every concept that is present, we are getting the concept name, and the next part is where we are actually getting the error. Okay, I think we do not need that bracket. Actually, we can directly map over the food items, not the food items. We can directly map over your food keywords. Okay, I think there is some kind of issue over here. Let's just fix that. So let's make that change. Yeah, so it should be like this. There was no bracket after the return. So let's try to save the file. Okay, so also one more thing, once the scanning is complete, we need to show some kind of button so that they can retake the photo. So let's come back to your scan screen, and yeah, once we have any kind of error message, even let's implement that as well. So over here, that is right below your view, or this point. Yeah, so we can make that over here. Yeah, so we can write that over here, that is just below this view. I'm just going to say if at all error message is present, that means if you have uploaded another image that is not a food image, or it's not, and it's not scanning, then in that case we're going to show this particular view, which in turn is going to have your error message. So here I'm going to have a text which says error message. So let's pass on the style for this, that is the error container. Let's say style over here. So this in turn is going to have a background color of this color code, and it's going to have a padding of 15, border radius of 10, margin bottom of 20, and then a specific width of 80%. And for the error text, it's going to have a color of white. So I'm going to say style over here, color is going to be white, and we're going to have a font size as well, font size of let's say 15, and furthermore we're going to give it some text align of center. Save. Okay, so since there was some issue over here, automatically it failed, I guess, so it is giving this kind of message. So now the next step is we need to choose a next button, or we need to design the next button or the retake button. So here I'm going to say touchable opacity. It's going to have a text which says select another image. Save the file. Let's pass on the style for this. It's going to be equals to styles dot retake button. Let's go on to the bottom part and then define the styles for this. I'm going to say retake button. This in turn is going to have a specific background color of this color code, that is FF6F61, and furthermore it's going to have some padding vertical. I'm going to say padding vertical of 10, and padding horizontal as well of let's say 18, and furthermore border radius of 20, and we're going to have some margin bottom value as well. Save. As you can see, we're able to see that being shown onto the screen. So for the text, we're just going to give some color of white, probably this one. So let's initialize the style for this, text align of center, and then color of white. All that is looking fine. Let's pass on the on press for this. I'm going to say on press. It's going to say retake photo. Let's go on to the top and then define the function that is retake photo. So here I'm going to say const retake photo is going to be equals to a normal arrow function. Here I'm going to say set your photo to be of null, and I'm going to say set is scanning to be of false, as well as set food items to be of an empty array, and set error message also to be of null. Let's give this a try. I'm going to choose this again. So hopefully now we should be able to see the correct details, that is the food items. Let's choose the same image. Okay. All right, I think we have all of the answers, and as you can see, we do have the name that is going to be meat, and this is the confidence given, that is 45%, which is actually right because this is not meat. Okay, as you can see in the diagram. And these are the nutrients, that is calories, fats, carbohydrates, proteins, and we do have the vitamins and minerals in an array of strings. So these are the required food details that we have obtained from all of this data. These are basically your concepts from the model that we are going to use. Okay, so as you can see, this is the clarify response. You can actually log each and every detail, and you should be able to understand how exactly we are getting to this particular point, that is the food details. So now the next step is we're going to start designing the food details once the scanning is complete for a particular food item. So to get accurate results, that is for each item in the food image, you can use probably some other smart model, probably from Google. You can use the Google Vision API as well, but I think that one is kind of paid. You need to pay for the credits that you use. Okay, this is actually free, you can use it. So now let's start designing your food items, that is just below the image. So that's going to happen right below your view, that is this one. I'm going to say if my food items dot length is greater than 0 and not of is scanning, and over here we're gonna show the design, that is I'm gonna show a view. Alright, so this view in turn is gonna have your outermost container, that's the food item container. I'm gonna say style is gonna be equals to styles dot food item container. Below this I'm gonna say text, it's gonna say detected food items. Save. Okay, so this part is done. So the next step is you're going to map over your food items. So here I'm going to say food items dot map, and for every item as well as the index, here I'm going to show a view. And over here within the view, I'm going to show your text initially, which is going to have your item dot name with the confidence value as well. I'm going to say confidence. So if all the confidence comes up to, let's say, 85 or 90, then it is considered to be your correct food item that has been guessed correctly. So yeah, let's pass on the confidence value correctly. That's going to be equals to your item dot confidence into 100 dot to fixed value of 2 to get the 2 digits that is after the decimal point. I'm just going to paste it over here for the confidence. Okay, save. So now after that view, after that text, I'm going to check if at all we do have the nutrients. Yes, in this case we do have it. So here I'm going to say item dot your nutrients. If it is present, then open up your a parenthesis, else we're going to show some other text as well. In this case, I'm just going to initialize my fragments initially, which in turn is going to have a view. Okay, I think there is some issue over here. Let's remove this initially. Okay, so now it's working fine. Just make that change and make the changes for this as well. So for this text is going to be food item name, this is going to be food items title, this is going to be the food items container, this also is going to be the food item container. So here we're going to pass on the fragment, which in turn is going to have the view. Okay, so yeah, let's start initializing each of the text within the view. It's going to have your calories, it's going to have your proteins, that's the next value, apart from that, we're going to have the next one that's going to be your carbs. Save. Just copy this down a couple of times. So the next one is going to be for your values that we're going to show. So here it's going to be item.nutrients.calories. So I'm going to say item.nutrient dot your calories. This is going to be item.nutrient.proteins. I think it's going to be nutrients. It has a S. So I'm going to say item.nutrients dot your proteins. This is going to be in kilocalorie, so I'm going to say kcal, and then this is going to be in grams, so just a small g. The next one is for your carbohydrates. That is this value. Let's copy that down and then paste it over here. Yep, that's it. So now the next one is, as you can see, all the details are being shown onto the screen. You just need to style that out. So the next one is for your fats, vitamins, as well as your minerals. Here I'm going to say fats. This is going to be your vitamins, and this is going to be that for your minerals. Save. So similarly, let's show all of the data below this. It's going to be item.nutrients.fat. This is also going to be there in grams. The next one is going to be item.nutrients.vitamins. So I'm going to say vitamins dot apply the join method because it is an array of strings. Or just an empty string. So here also it's going to be item.nutrients.minerals dot apply your join method or a empty string. Let's pass on the style for each of them. So it's going to be styles dot your nutrient row, and this is going to be nutrient header. It's going to be the same thing for each of them. I'm going to say style is going to be equals to styles dot nutrient header. So for each of them it's going to be the row. For the second one as well as for the third and the fourth ones. So this is going to be nutrient header format, and this is going to be there for your nutrient value. So I'm going to say nutrient value. Let's paste it over here. So again the fourth one is going to be the value, so let's initialize that, and the third one is going to be again for your nutrient header. So let's just initialize that as well. Alright, so there is some issue with the bracket closing. Okay, so I think it's done. There should be text. Yeah, so now we just need to initialize all of the styles over here for each of them. So starting off from your food items container, we just need to start styling it out. So let's style this out. So that is the food items container. So here I'm going to say food items container. It's going to be in the form of an object. Initially it's going to have a width of, let's say, 90%. Then align self of center, margin bottom of 20. Alright, so yes, apart from that, the next thing is we're going to style the food items title. Here I'm going to say food items title. This in turn is going to have a font size of 18, font weight of bold, color is going to be white, and furthermore it's going to have some margin bottom as well of, let's say, 10, and it's going to have a text align of center. Save. As you can see, that is looking nice. So the next one is for the food item container. So let's pass on the style for that. So here I'm going to say food item container. It's going to have your background color of white, then some padding of 15, some internal spacing, border radius of 10. Furthermore, we're going to have a margin bottom value 15. Okay, it's going to be food item container. I think we do have the name food item container for this one, so it should essentially work. Yeah, it is there. Save the file. As you can see, now that's looking really nice. We just need to style it out in a better way. So starting off from the food item name, let's give the design for that. I'm going to say food item name. So this is going to have a font size of, let's say, 16. Okay, and we're going to have a font weight of, let's say, 600. Furthermore, we're going to have a color of this color code 333, and we're also going to give it some margin bottom value, margin bottom of, let's say, 10. Then we're going to give it a text align of center. As you can see, this is a meet and confidence is 45.12%. So we are also showing the confidence, which is a good thing. So yes, apart from this, we have the next thing that is going to be your food. I mean, not the food, the nutrient row. So here I'm going to say nutrient row. Let's pass on the style for this. Flex of row. Justify of space between. And apart from that, width of 100%. Then the next thing we have is a padding vertical of 6 or 5. You can pass in any value. As you can see, that's looking nice now. So apart from that, the next thing is your nutrient header. So I'm going to say nutrient header. Let's pass on the style for this now. It's going to have a font size of, let's say, 15. And we're going to, pass in the font weight of bold, flex of 1, text align of center, color of 333. Save. As you can see, it's looking nice. So now the next step is for your nutrient value. I'm going to say nutrient value. So here it's going to have a font size of 15 again. Furthermore, it's going to have a color 333, flex of 1, text align of center. Format once and then let's try to save the file. Okay, so for some reason your data for your proteins as well as the carbohydrate is not being shown. Okay, because yeah, carbs is 0, for proteins it's not being shown. Probably the spelling might be wrong, because over here in the data we do have that result. So let's check out the spelling for that. There is an extra T added over here. So for proteins, yeah, that is the correct spelling. It's going to be item.nutrients.proteins. Yes, that is right. I think spelling is wrong. That's the reason it's not being displayed. Yeah, so there you go. We're able to see that. And yes, I think we could display, just one word for your vitamins as well as your minerals. So let's try to slice it off initially. Okay, so let's say I'm going to slice from 0 to 1. As you can see, that's looking fine. Similarly, let's slice from 0 to 1 over here as well. Or if you have a different design where you want to show all of the vitamins and minerals, you can do that as well. Alright, so for some reason nutrient value is not being aligned centrally, so let's look into that. We change for that because it's not looking that good. That is for the second part of the row. So that is these values. Minimize this, and I'm going to make use of this, and we need to define the nutrient column. So let's go on to the bottom part. Here I'm going to say nutrient. Let's copy down that spelling correctly. I'm just going to give it a flex of 1 and then align items of center. Save, comma. As you can see, now that's looking really good and we're able to see all of the details for that particular food item. So this part is done. So let's also check the backend, that is if at all we are able to store all of these scans in the backend that is done by any kind of user. So let's head over to MongoDB. So once you sign in, we come to this page and this is the last chosen project, that is our app. Let's come to your clusters and then let's press on browse collections. Here let's go on to your scans. We should have the first scan being shown. So there you go, we do have the first scan as well as the data as well. As you can see, meat, the confidence, as well as all of the objects, that is the nutrients value for that particular food item, which is good. So now we are also able to store all of these scans in the backend as well. Let's try with the other image that I have. Select another image. I'm going to choose this one. So it's currently scanning. Alright, so it is identified lettuce. That is actually right. So it is given 61.94%, and these are the required details. So now let's say I choose a random different image that is actually not a food image. Let's say something like this, or this waterfall image. Let's see, it should give us a joke this time. So hopefully it should. So there you go, it has correctly identified that this is not image, and it is giving us a kind of joke which says, is that a shoe? I'm hungry for food, not fashion, so try again. So yes, this is working absolutely fine. So this would allow the user to only add the food images to scan. So yes, this part is done. So now the next step is we're going to start designing your calendar screen, right? So as you saw in the demo part of the video, in the calendar screen, if we do have any kind of scans for, let's say, a particular day or for a particular week, we're going to show the information of any scans, and for each month we're going to show the dates, and if at all for any day the user presses on, we're going to show the information of the total nutrients consumed by the user. We're going to show it in the form of a model for that particular date if at all they have scanned on that day. So we're going to implement that info, and over here in the home screen initially we're going to start showing the last 3 or the last 4 scans done by the user, that is in the last days or in the last 3 days. We're just going to show some info over here, and we're going to design the calendar screen. So that's the next step. So let's get started with the design of the calendar screen as well as showing the info of the last 3 or 4 scans done by the user. So now before designing your calendar screen, let's initially design all of your endpoints that you're going to use in the calendar screen. So let's head back to your index.js over here, and I'm going to write a couple of endpoints for getting the total scans for a month, getting the total scans for a week, as well as getting the total scans for a particular day. So let's get started with that. So I'm going to say app.get. So it's going to be /scans / your month, and this is going to be your year as well as the month. That is going to be your dynamic value. So I'm going to say year and then / your month. So this is going to have your async method with your request and the response in the callback. So here initially let's get in the year and month from the front end part. So I'm going to say const year comma month is going to be equals to request.params. I'm going to say const start date is going to be equals to moment. I think moment is already initialized. That is this one. So it's going to be equals to moment of your year, then hyphen month, then the date, comma your formatting value, that is year, month, as well as your day. And here we need to include the start of, month dot to date. So similarly I'm going to initialize my end date. So I'm going to say const end date is going to be equals to moment of your start date dot end of month dot to date. Alright, so now the next step is let's initialize scans. So I'm going to say const scans is going to be equals to await apply, initialize your scan model dot, we're going to apply the find method, and here we're going to pass in the date. So your date should match this particular value. So I'm going to make use of this operator, that is GTE. It should be equals to your start date, and your LTE should be equals to your end date. That means it should be within the start date as well as the end date. Let's format once. Yeah, so this would fetch and give you all of the required dates based on the start date as well as the end date. It would give you the scans, sorry. So let's send that to the front end part. I'm going to say result.json total scans is going to be equals to scans dot length as well as all of your scans as well. Format once. Let's try to save. So yes, now the next step is to initialize endpoint to get total scans for a particular week. So here I'm going to say app.get, it's going to be / scans and then / your week. Here it's going to have async method with your request as well as a response in the callback. Here again I'm going to initialize my start of week, that is going to be equals to moment dot your start of dot start of your week, let's pass that value, dot your to date. So similarly for end of week, I'm going to say const end of week is going to be equals to moment dot end of week dot to date. Yeah, so that's it. Now let's initialize our scans. So here I'm going to say const scans is going to be equals to await, it's going to be scan.find method. Here again pass it with respect to the date. So this should be equals to your start of date, start of week, and $LTE. So this should be equals to your end of week. Yeah, so finally once that is done, we're just going to send the result to the front end part. So for that, here I'm going to say result.json. So your total scans is going to be equals to again scans.length as well as your scans. So that's it. Let's try to save the file. So now the next endpoint is to get the total scans for a particular day. So let's initialize that. Here I'm going to say app.get, it's going to be scans / today. So it's going to have async method with your request as well as a response in the callback. So here let's initialize similarly these two values. So this is going to be start of day, and this is going to be end of day. So it's going to be equals to moment dot start of day dot to date. This is going to be moment dot end of day dot to date, right? So here I'm going to say const scans is going to be equals to await scan dot find. So again passing your date, this should match your value. So initialize your GT operator and pass in start of day. And your next operator, pass in your end of day. So yes, that's it. So this should fetch and give you all of the scans as well as the scan length. So here I'm going to say result.json. So initially total scans, that is going to be equals to your scans.length and your scans. Okay, let's format once and then let's try to save. So let's also initialize one final endpoint to get, scan details for a specific date. So this is for, let's say, you are on the calendar and you press on any kind of date, as you saw in the demo part of the video. If at all a scan has been made on that particular date, we're going to show a kind of model with all of the required details. So for that as well, let's initialize the endpoint. I'm going to say app.get. It's going to be /scans /date, and your date, that's going to be dynamic. It's going to have async method with your request and the response in the callback. Let's get in the date from the front end part. I'm going to say const date is going to be equals to request dot params, and here directly I'm going to use my scans. I'm going to say const scans is going to be equals to await. It's going to be scan dot find method. Here passing the date, and here I'm going to pass in the required values. So initially GTE, it's going to be equals to moment of scan date. So we need to initialize the scan date over here. So I'm going to say const scan date is going to be equals to moment of date, comma your year as well as month and the day dot to date. Yeah, so here it's going to take in your scan date dot start of day dot your to date. Similarly for your the next operator, that's LTE, it's going to be equals to moment of your scan date dot, we're going to make use of end of method, so it's going to be dot end of day dot your to date. All right, so yeah, these are the required details. So we're just going to send it to the front end part. I'm going to say result dot json of your scans. Let's format once. Alright, so now the next step is we need to design the home screen, that is this part. That is, once if at all we have 3 scans in the backend in the last 3 days, we're going to get all of these details over here. So that's the final endpoint for this particular project. Let's initialize that now itself. I'm going to say app.get /last 3 days, and it's going to have the async method with the request as well as a response in the callback. Let's initialize your try catch. So catch of error, it's going to say console.log of error, that particular error message. Instead of the try block, let's initialize the dates initially. That's going to be an empty array, and I'm going to make use of my for loop. I'm going to say for let I equals to 2 equal to 0, and then decremented I minus minus. Here let's initialize the date. I'm going to say const date is going to be equals to moment dot subtract of your I value with respect to the days, and this is going to be equals to dot start of your day dot to date. So let's initialize the scans. I'm going to say const scans is going to be equals to await. I'm going to say scan dot find with respect to the date. So again, passing your operators with the required values. So this is going to be equals to moment of date dot end of with respect to the day dot to date. So that's it. So here I'm just going to say dates dot push. For every date, it's going to be equals to moment of date, and we're going to format it into this particular value. I'm going to say dot format. It's going to be year, month, and then day. and you can pass in your scans over here. So here you can just send the data. I'm going to say result.json. Data is going to be equals to dates. That's it. Let's format once and let's try to save the file. So now the next step is let's head over to the front end part and then let's initialize a on-press event where we have the middle container so that we can navigate to the calendar screen. And I think calendar screen is not yet initialized. So new screen over here. It's going to be calendar screen.tsx rnfes. Save. Let's include that into the main stack over here. So it's going to be calendar, and this is going to be calendar screen. Import that from the screens folder. Let's format once. Save. Let's come back to the home screen, and where we have the button or the pressable, that is this one. I'm going to say on press, taken a function. Here we're just going to say navigation dot navigate to the name of the screen we want to navigate to. That's going to be calendar. Save. As you can see, we're coming correctly to the calendar screen. So let's start designing this particular calendar screen from the starting point. So initially let's initialize some states at the top part over here. So I'm going to say const navigation is going to be equals to use navigation. So make sure to import that. Then I'm going to initialize the current month. I'm going to say const current month comma set current month is going to be equals to use state. Initially it would be pointing to moment. So import moment from moment. Then I'm going to say const total scans this month comma set total scans this month is going to be equals to use state. Initially 0. Import use state over here. So the next thing is this week scans. I'm going to say const this week scans comma set this week scans is going to be equals to use state, again 0, and const today scans comma set today scans is going to be equals to use state. Again it's going to be pointing to 0. Let's have access to the selected date. I'm going to say const selected date comma set selected date is going to be equals to use state, and initially it's going to be equals to moment dot moment or null. Let's initialize the final state, that is for your scan details. I'm going to say const scan details comma set scan details is going to be equals to use state, and yeah, initially we're going to pass in any. Alright, so now let's look into the design for the return block. So let's initialize our scroll view initially. So I'm going to say scroll view. Let's make use of the scroll view. Let's pass on the style for this. It's going to be equals to your styles dot container. So within that we're going to have a view. Within that we're going to have a touchable opacity. So import that, and within the touchable opacity we're going to have a icon. So the name is going to be equals to arrow back size is going to be equals to, let's say, 24. Color is going to be white color. Save. Alright, so since it's in white color, we're not able to see that onto the screen. So let's initialize a text over here. This is going to say insights. Let's try to save the file. Okay, we're able to see that onto the screen. So yeah, initially let's pass on the style for the view. I'm going to say style is going to be equals to styles.header, and for the touchable opacity it's going to be equals to styles.backButton. This is going to be styles.header text. So yeah, let's go on to the bottom part and then start giving the style for the container header as well as the header text. So initially container flex of 1, background color of this color code F5 F5 F5, save. Alright, and for your header, let's pass on the styling. This in turn is going to have a flex of row, so flex direction row, align items of center, and background color of this color code, that is 2E, 7D, and then 3.2. Furthermore, some internal spacing, that is padding of 15, and then some padding top of let's say 40. Okay, so as you can see, that's looking nice. So now for the back button, let's give the style. I'm going to say back button. We're going to give it some margin margin right of 10. Okay, yeah, so that's looking fine. So now the next thing is for your header text. So I'm going to say header text. Color is going to be white. Apart from that, font size of 15 and margin left of 5. Yeah, so it's looking good. Let's try to bring that design a bit down. That is for your header, I guess. Let's keep it to be, let's say, 60. Yeah, I think that's looking nice. Okay, so for the header text, I'm going to give it a font weight of bold. So save the file. Yeah, so it's looking good. So yeah, now let's continue the next part of the design. So that's going to contain your total scans, right? So below this particular view, I'm going to have my view being initialized. Within this, we're going to have a text which shows your current month. I'm going to say total is going to be equals to your current month dot format it into this particular value. Save. As you can see, we do have that being shown onto the screen. So below that, we're going to have a text which is going to show scans done for this particular month. It's going to be total scans this month. Save. As you can see, 0 scans done because we have not yet implemented the endpoint part, okay, which is fine. So next text is for this week. And the next one is for this week's scans. I'm going to say this week scans and then scans. Save. Okay, that is being shown onto the screen, which is good. Let's initialize the text. The next one is for today. I'm going to say today. Here I'm going to say a text which is going to say today scans and scans over here. Let's pass on the style for each of the view. So I'm going to say style is going to be equals to styles dot your stats container. Let's pass on the style for this. That's going to be equals to your styles dot stats title, and this is going to be equals to your styles dot stat value. Similarly, let's copy the same thing for the remaining ones. This is going to be value, this also for value, and this is going to be there for your title, the remaining two things, this one as well as this one. Save. Let's start styling this out, starting from your stats container. Let's scroll down over here, and I'm going to say stats container. This in turn is going to have some padding of 20, and then background color of white, margin of 10, border radius of let's say 10, and I'm going to give it a elevation of 2. Save. As you can see, that's looking nice. So apart from your stats container, the next thing is for your stats title. It's going to have a font size of 17, color of this color code 666, and then some margin bottom value of 5. As you can see, that's looking nice. The next one is for your stats value. I'm going to say stats value. This in turn is going to have a font size of 22 and font weight of bold. Color is going to be of this color code. So that's going to be equals to 2E7. And then we're going to have D32. Save. Okay, I think the styles are not being applied, so okay, there is wrong spelling for this. Let's say stats, stats, and then stats. Save. As you can see, that's looking nice. So for this, let's pass on some margin top as well. So margin top of let's say 5. Yeah, I think that's looking nice. Alright, so yeah, that part is done. So now the next step is we're going to show the calendar design. Let's initialize the view for that. Here I'm going to say view. It's going to have a touchable opacity, which in turn is going to have your icon. And we're going to pass in your name for this. I'm going to say name is going to be equals to arrow back. Size is going to be equals to let's say 20. Color is going to be equals to 333. Similarly, copy this down once again, and between we're going to have a text which is going to show your current month, right? So I'm going to say current month dot format it into this particular value, month, and then year. Save. Alright, so this should be arrow forward. Save. Let's start styling this out. So style is going to be equals to your styles dot month navigation. This is going to be arrow button. So style is going to be equals to styles dot arrow button. The same thing is going to get applied for the second touchable opacity as well. For this, I'm going to say style is going to be equals to styles dot month text. So now let's start designing this. Initially for your month navigation part, here I'm going to say month navigation. Give it a flex of row, so flex direction row, and then align items of center. Justify content of center as well. Some padding vertical of 10, and then a background color of this color code, that is F. Save. As you can see, that's looking nice. So that is for your month navigation. Let's also provide some margin as well. Some margin of 10, border radius of let's say 10, as well as elevation of 2. Alright, so that's looking nice. So that is it for your month navigation. For the arrow button, it's gonna have a padding of 10. Alright, so the next one is for your month text. I'm gonna say month text. It's gonna have font size of, let's say, 20 and font weight of bold, color of this color code, that is 333. Okay, so yeah, that's looking nice. So now the next step is we're going to initialize the on press event on each of the arrows over here. So I'm going to say on press, it's going to say go to previous month, so go to prev month. The next one is going to be go to next month. So here I'm going to say on press go to next month. So let's make the change for that. I'm just going to paste in the code for this. So for go to previous month, it's going to say set current month of current month dot clone dot subtract, because you're going to the previous state with respect to the month, we're going to subtract 1. Similarly for the next month, that is go to next month, it's going to be add with respect to the month again. Let's try to save the file. So as and when I press on this, automatically it's going to keep changing. Okay, that's looking good. Let's try to format once. So now the next step is we need to initialize your calendar days. So let's initialize that over here. I'm going to say const calendar days is going to be equals to generate calendar. So we need to define this function, that is generate calendar. So here I'm going to say const generate calendar is going to be equals to a normal arrow function. Here let's initialize your start of month, end of month, start of week, as well as end of week. So you can make note of all of these. So once this is done, let's initialize the days. I'm going to say const days is going to be equals to an empty array initially, and I'm going to say let day is going to be equals to your start of week. So I'm going to say while your day dot is same or before of your end of week, I'm going to say days dot push of day dot clone. Alright, and I'm going to say day dot add 1 with respect to your day. That's it, and over here we're just going to say return your days. So yeah, let's make that change and then let's format once. Okay, so now with the help of these calendar days, we're going to start styling this out. So let's start with the view that is just below this one. I'm going to say view over here. So this view in turn is going to have another view. Within this, we're going to have all of the days of the week that we're going to map through. So let's initialize that. So this is going to be there for your weekdays. So I've just included an array of strings containing all of the weekdays from Sunday to Saturday, and I'm just going to show the day just like this. So now the next step is let's initialize another view. This view in turn is going to have the mapping part. I'm going to say calendar days dot your map, so for every day, and then the index. Initially calculate if at all it is a current month. I'm going to say const is current month is going to be equals to day dot is same method of your current month comma month. Then I'm going to say const is scanned. Yeah, I think that is there for your, I think we can initialize the endpoint now. I'm going to say const is scanned is going to be equals to a async method here. Let's initialize the response. I'm going to say const response is going to be equals to await fetch and pass in your URL, that is going to be this one, Okay, I think there is some kind of issue with the map, so let's look into that. Yeah, so this is your URL. Make sure you paste this one, and let's get in the data over here. I'm going to say const data is going to be equals to await response.json. I'm going to say return data dot scans dot your length is greater than 0. Let's also initialize for your is scanned. I'm going to say const is scanned is going to be equals to, not is scanned, my bad, it's going to be is today. It's going to be equals to day dot is same of your moment comma your day. So yeah, let's look into this. Let's copy this down. So yes, I think once when we initialize the return block, it should be gone. Let's look into that. So here below this, I'm just going to say return or touchable opacity. As you can see, the error is gone. So over here, we're just going to show the date within a text. We're just going to say day dot date. Let's pass on the style for the touchable opacity. I'm going to say style is going to be equals to styles dot data cell or date cell. For the text, I'm going to say style is going to be equals to an array of styles. Initially styles dot date text, and if at all not of this current month, and it's going to be style dot inactive date, styles dot inactive date, and if at all is scanned is true, and it's going to be equals to your styles dot scanned date, and if at all is today, and we're going to say styles dot today date. And for the final one, I'm going to say style is going to be equals to styles dot your date container. All right, so yeah, now let's start designing all of this at the bottom part, starting from your calendar container. I think that is not yet set up. Yeah, it's going to be this one. Style is going to be equals to styles dot calendar container. So let's start designing your calendar container. So I'm just going to scroll to the bottom and then pass down the styles for each of them. You can make note of it. So starting off from your calendar container, as well as for your weekday row, as well as weekday text. So we're going to give a padding of 10, some background color of white, margin of 10, border radius of 10, as well as elevation of 2 for the calendar container. So for weekday row, this is the styling flex of row, justify space between, padding vertical of 10, border bottom width of 1, and then border bottom color of this color code. This is the style for the weekday text. Let's save the file. So there you go. We do have some design being shown with respect to the calendar. So now the next is for the dates container. So I think that is initialized. Is it date or dates? Let me just check that. It's going to be dates over here. So let's pass on the style for the, so here I'm going to say dates container. So here I'm going to give it a flex of row, so flex direction row, and then we're going to pass in flex wrap of wrap. Save. As you can see, that's looking fine. So now the next thing is for the data cell or the date cell. I'm going to give it a width. It's going to be equals to dimension dot get of window dot width divided by 8, and include a specific height of, let's say, 40, justify of center, as well as align items of center. Save. As you can see, just like that, it came into the correct position, which is looking good. Format once. So that was the design for the date cell. Next one is for your inactive date. So I'm going to say inactive date over here. Color is going to be AAA. As you can see, these two are the inactive dates for April because it is going to start from Tuesday, that's the 1st. Apart from inactive date, the scanned date, I'm going to say scanned date is going to be this one. Color, it's going to be 2E, 7D, and then 3.2. Font weight of bold. Okay, so for everything we're getting that. Let's make the change. I think I made a mistake over here. We need to call the function as well. Okay, so is scanned. Okay, I think there is a issue with this. So it should be is scanned, I guess, instead of scan date. Okay, yeah, so it's looking good. Let's format once and then save. Okay, my bad. It should be actually scan date itself because, okay, let's come back to the previous state. So scanned date. Okay, let's comment this out for now because it's showing for everything. Let's look into the issue later. So the next thing is there for your today date, that is this one, as well as for your date text. So here I'm going to say today date. It's going to have a background color of this color code, that is FEE or FFE and B38. I mean B3B, and furthermore it's going to have some border radius. So border radius of, let's say, 15, specific width of 30, height of 30, text align of center, and then padding, top of 5. As you can see, today is 18th and we are able to see that being correctly shown. Okay, height should be 30, not 20. Yeah, I think that's looking fine. Let's also try to give justify center as well as align items of center. Okay. So next one is there for your date text. So let's pass that. So I'm going to say date, not date text, it's going to be today date. Today date is already passed in. I think one is missing. Let's check that. Yeah, date text is missing. So I'm going to say date text is going to be font size of let's say 16. Color is going to be this color code, that is 333. Okay, so now this part is done. So now let's initialize the on press, or let's include all of the functions that is for fetching all of the scans, right? So here I'm going to say use effect. It's going to be dependent on the current month. So I'm going to say current month, and here it's going to be fetch scans. Let's define the function. I'm going to say const fetch scans is going to be equals to a async function. Initialize your try as well as your catch block. So catch of error, console.log error fetching scans with that particular error. Instead of your try block, let's initialize your month response. I'm going to say const month response is going to be equals to await fetch, and this is going to be your URL. So you can make note of this, and once when we get the data, here I'm going to say const month data is going to be equals to await month response dot JSON, and here I'm going to say set total scans this month to be of month data dot total scans. Okay, so this part is done. The next step is for fetching total scans for the current week. I'm going to say const week response is going to be equals to await fetch, passing your URL over here. That is going to be http localhost 3000 /scans / your week. Let's initialize your week data. I'm going to say const week data is going to be equals to await week response dot JSON and set this week scans to be of your week data dot total scans. Similarly, let's do that for the day as well. So here I'm just going to say const today response is going to be equals to await fetch. This is going to be your URL, that is http localhost 3000 scans / today, and convert it into JSON and then set the today scans. So yep, that's it. So there you go, it's giving the correct result. So 4 scans done in April, and this week only we have done 4 scans, that is, let's say, a 2 days back or a day back. Okay, so yeah, it's working absolutely fine. So now the next step is, once you press on any kind of day, if all the scans have been done, we need to show that particular day in the form of a model, or the particular information in the form of a model. So let's go on to the touchable opacity and then initialize a on press event, that is over here. Here I'm going to say on press, taken a function, and it's going to say handle date press of your day. So let's define the function, that is handle date press. Here I'm going to say const handle date press. It's going to be a sync method taking in the day. It's going to be equals to moment dot your moment. Here I'm going to say set selected date to be of day. Initialize your try as well as your catch block, so catch of error. Here I'm going to say console.log error fetching scans that particular error, and I'm going to say set scan details to be of an empty array. Here within the try block, let's initialize our response. So I'm just going to paste in the response over here. Let's initialize that. I'm going to say const date response is going to be equals to await fetch, passing your URL. Once that is done, I'm going to say const date data is going to be equals to await date response dot your JSON, and here I'm going to say set your scan details to be of date data dot scans dot your length. Then it's going to be date data dot scans of 0 dot your food items. That's how we access the data, or it's going to be an empty array. Let's format once. Okay, my bad, there should be a colon. That's it. Let's just save the file. So let's initialize the design for the model part. So we're just going to use the model directly from React Native itself. Okay, so I'm just going to paste in the code for the model, that is your tooltip model. That's going to happen, let's say, just below your view, that is over here. Okay, and we need to design the style for this. So initially we're going to have a model and import model from React Native. Yeah, so transform is going to be true, and the visible is going to be your not of selected date. That means if at all any kind of date is selected, then we're going to show the model with the correct date, or with the correct information, or with your correct information. And on request close, we have your close tooltip. So we need to define that function as well. Here I'm going to say const close tooltip is going to be equals to a normal arrow function. Here I'm going to say set selected date to be of null. Okay, and here I'm going to say set your scan data or scan details to be of empty. And furthermore, these are all of the required details. That is just we are getting it from the backend, and we are trying to show the calories, proteins, carbs, as well as the fats. Here we're going to map over the scan details. We're going to check if the length is greater than 0. Then we're going to map over the scan details and then show each of the values, that is item.nutrients.calories. Similarly, the same details for protein, carbohydrates, as well as the fats. If all it's not present, that means if all a scan has not been made for that particular day, we're just going to show a empty value, that is 0 grams. Okay, let's copy down the styles for all of these, that is starting from your model overlay. Let's import this as well, touchable without feedback. So let's initialize the style for this at the bottommost part over here. So you can look at it, all of the details starting from your model tooltip. I mean, not model tooltip, model overlay. Okay, so let's give this a try. Let's press on 17th. As you can see, we do have some scans on 17th, and we're able to see that being shown onto the screen. So for some reason it is not showing it in a row format. That means this should come in a row. That is with respect to your, I think, tooltip nutrient row. Let's check that out. Okay, so for some reason, yeah, so we have given your flex direction of row, but it is not correctly showing align items of center. Let's give that once. Okay, so let's look into this. Yeah, so for 15th no scans has been made, so as you can see it's showing no data is available. For 16th, yeah, no scans has been made. For 17th it has been made, but yes, it is only showing it in the column fashion, so we need to look into that, or we need to give it to the tooltip nutrient value. I'm not sure. Let's give flex of row over here. Okay, so for this we need to give, and we need to give align items center as well as justify of space between. So let's look into that. Save. As you can see, and that's looking fine. So for the text, you can actually give it a text align of center, that is for each of the texts. Let's see how exactly it's looking. So I'm going to say text align center. Okay, I think we could remove this. It's not making any change. So yeah, I think this is fine. So all right, so this part is done. So now the next step is finally we're going to go into the home screen, and then we're going to define that particular endpoint or call that endpoint to get for the last 3 days, and then we're going to design that. Let's come back to your home screen, that is over here. So here, let's say I'm going to initialize a use effect, import that from React. So here I'm going to say fetch last 3 days data. Let's define the function over here. I'm going to say const fetch last 3 days data is going to be equals to async function. So here I'm just going to say const response is going to be equals to wait Axios. I don't think Axios is installed. Yeah, let's install that. I'm going to say yarn add Axios. So let's import Axios from Axios. Here it's going to be axios.get method, and this is going to be your URL, that is http localhost/3000, then scans, and then last 3 days. Once we have the data, we're going to just set the data over here. So here I'm going to say const data comma set data. It's going to be equals to use state. Initially, let's say we're going to set it to be a empty array. Import use state over here. So yes, in the function over here, I'm going to say set data to be of response dot data dot data. Alright, so for some reason it's not taking this particular value. Let's use, the normal string itself. Instead of data, we're going to use this one. And let's use set last 3 data over here. Okay, so for some reason it's actually not taking that value. It's okay, fine. Let's try to save the file. Let's try to reload the app. Okay, so I think I made a silly mistake over here because I've started initializing the state within the function, that is get 7 days. It should be outside. So that's the reason it was not working initially and it was not able to track the state. Okay, so as you can see, now it's getting that data. So now let's start styling this out. So let's head back to your home screen, and at the bottom part, we're gonna start styling out the last 3 days calculation. So let's say that's gonna happen over here, just below your view. I'm gonna say view over here. I'm gonna have a text which says last 3 days. Save. As you can see, we're able to see that onto the screen. Here I'm going to say style is going to be equals to styles dot section. Okay, and below this we're going to have your last 3 days container. Here I'm going to say view. Here I'm going to say last 3 days data dot map. So for every day data as well as your index, let's initialize total calories. I'm going to say const total calories is going to be equals to day data dot scans dot apply your reduce method for every sum as well as your scan. I'm going to say return your sum plus scan dot go into your food items. I'm going to say food items dot apply your reduce method, and your item sum is going to be of type number. Item is going to be any. Here I'm just going to say item sum plus your item dot your nutrients dot your calories or 0. And furthermore, we need to pass in your initial value for the sum, that's going to be 0, or it's going to be 0 over here. Yeah, so these are the required things for the calories. So similarly, you can initialize it for the remaining things, that is your total protein, total carbs, as well as total fat. It's going to be the exact same code except for this point. It's going to be item sum plus item dot nutrients dot your proteins, carbohydrates, or your fats. So I'm going to initialize all of them once again, just like this. So it's going to be the essential same code that we had written. Here let's make use of the return block, and we're going to show a view, and within this view we're going to have a text which shows your day data dot date dot apply the format method. I think we need to use moment over here, so it's going to be moment of day data dot date dot apply your format method, and it's going to be in this particular value, month, as well as your day. So let's initialize a view over here. So we're gonna have a closing view as well. Within this, we're gonna have your text, which is gonna show you calories. I'm gonna say calories is gonna be equals to total calories in your kilocalories. Let's initialize another text over here. We're gonna show proteins. I'm gonna say PRO, and this is gonna say total proteins in grams. Similarly, let's initialize it for the remaining two texts. This is going to be there for your carb, and this is going to be there for your fat. It's going to be total carbs. This is going to be total fat. Let's pass on the style for this. I'm going to say style is going to be equals to your styles.daybox, and for the text, I'm going to say style is going to be equals to styles.dayTitle. And for this, let's pass on the style. That's going to be equals to your styles.dayNutrientRow. Here, let's pass on the style. It's going to be day nutrient text. So it's going to be equals to styles.day nutrient text. Let's just copy that a couple of times over here. Alright, let's save the file. As you can see, we do have some data being shown over here. You're gonna just start, styling that out. So for your view, we need to provide in the key as well. I'm gonna say key is gonna be equals to your index. Okay, yeah. So this part is done. So let's start styling out. Starting out from the section. Section is already styled out, I guess, for the remaining part. Yeah, section is already styled. The next one is for your section title. So I'm going to say style is going to be equals to styles dot your section title. Even this is styled. As you can see, that's looking good. So the next one is for your last 3 days container. Style is going to be equals to styles dot last 3 days. So let's scroll down over here. Let's copy that down initially. So here we're going to start styling it out. So last 3 days, initially it's going to have a flex prediction of column, justify content of space between. Okay, apart from that, we're going to have the day box being style. I'm going to say day box. It's going to have a background color of this color code, that is 333, some padding of let's say 15, border radius of 10, and some margin bottom value of 8. Okay, so as you can see, that's looking nice. So we have April 17th, 18th. Okay, all the details are being shown. For 18th, for 16th it's 0. For 17th we have some date. For 17th we do have some calories consumed because we had done some scans. For April 18th, that is today, nothing has been done. Okay, so day box is done. The next one is for your day title. I'm going to say day title. It's going to have your color of white. Furthermore, font size of 16, font weight of bold, margin bottom of 8. As you can see, that's looking good. Furthermore, the next one is for your day nutrient row as well as day nutrient text. So I'm just going to paste in the code for that. For day nutrient row, it's going to be flex of row, justify of space between, and for day nutrient text, color of white, font size of 14. Okay, so okay, as you can see, the decimal point is going, about, let's say, 4 or 5 digits or even more than that. Let's try to reduce that by applying the two fixed value, probably for the fat, I guess. So I'm going to say dot to fixed of 2 or maybe 1. Yeah, I think that's looking good. Okay, so yes, this is your initial design for your last 3 days we have completed designing that. So yes, that's the entire project. So this was a very simple kind of project, a beginner level project, where we are allowed to scan any kind of food image, and we are able to get all of the nutrient values from that particular food image by even showing the confidence number as well, that is a percentage, just to show the information to the user. Depending upon the confidence, they can analyze if at all it is a real, correctly analyzed image or item as well. So that's it about this particular project. So we basically learned about how exactly to scan by using a model that is already predefined, and we just use the API key, and then we were able to fetch the details from that particular image, that is whatever the user has scanned. So yes, that's it about this project. Let's see you in the next one, and then thank you for watching.